4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I'm thinking about this year, maybe I just try to be kind of positive. It's going to be really hard.
About what?
About the Bills. I didn't need a spit take. I mean,
you can't be positive. You are so hardwired to be negative about your teams.
Listen, my whole life, I've been negative about the team, and it hasn't worked. Maybe it's like a Costanza, go opposite here, and maybe something good will happen. Maybe I'm just they're going to pull this out. They're going to do it. They're going to win. and maybe something will change.
I don't think you have it in you.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome into the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff across the country on CBS Sports Radio. Perloff, way too excited again about preseason football results.
Wait, whoa.
You did it yesterday with Jordan Love. You're doing it again today with Sam Howell. It's getting a little crazy.
You mean preseason games that I accurately predicted would make history?
Yeah, the Ravens' preseason record is one of the most overrated, nonsensical.
Tell that to the Commanders.
Yeah, I know. Well, if you missed it yesterday, this was Perloff signing off from the show.
Are we ready for the Ravens' 24-game preseason win streak? Be snapped tonight against the Commanders. You see it happening.
You like preseason too much. Thank you to Mike Samter. Thank you to Stu Kovac.
3.5-point spread. I like the Commanders.
The only thing crazier than delving this much into preseason is betting on it, but I'll get to that in a totally other time.
Yeah.
But you love this, and you loved Sam Howell last night.
Well, I thought, first of all, it did feel like there was some buzz going on, which was strange. And I think there was two reasons. One, we got to see Zay Flowers, a rookie on Baltimore, a wide receiver. It's exciting. And Sam Howell, it's the first time, I think, nationally everyone got to see him after hearing all this positive buzz in camp. And then what did he do? He just completely kind of dominated the game. He's 19 for 25, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Looked completely poised. He had one play where the pass rush got on top of him. He scrambled out and had a long pass. I understand Terry McLaurin got hurt a little bit.
Yeah, but X-rays are negative. You
could see the real talent he's throwing to. You know that they have a running game normally. There's reasons to be excited about this offense. I mean, it's a low bar. I'm not saying that they're Kansas City Chiefs, but I think if I'm a Commanders fan, first of all, I'm so happy that Daniel Snyder was not there. Second of all, I'm happy. I'm like, oh, okay, there's a young quarterback. At least there's a chance here.
Yeah, well, I mean, new owner, similar awkwardness and awkwardness. The owner, we'll get to that in a minute. A major gaffe that happened with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman in the booth. But the thing is here's the thing about Sam Howell. Yesterday, the Ravens were barely playing any of their starters, especially on the defensive side. He was actually taking these risks. I can't believe I'm breaking this down. I should not even give Perloff this kind of satisfaction.
Can I say that the Ravens' backups are probably awesome?
No,
so go ahead.
Okay, but he was taking these crazy risks at times on throws. It seemed crazy to me. And throwing into these tight windows that if that had been the first string of the Ravens, those likely would have been picks. So I can't go out there and say, I think Sam Howell's going to be a thing. If you had told me that was Taylor Heineke, I would have believed you. They looked exactly the same. And Heineke is a backup.
You're being heightist. This is clearly
I'm not a heightist.
You're saying a quarterback that a short guy can't be good. Our buddy Jim Nagy, Senior Bowl director, put it really well. He said, I think that the NFL overthought this guy. There's no way he should have been a 5th-round pick. Because he was when you looked at a way too early mock draft, he was the number 2 overall pick. He was basically what Drake May is now. Everybody loves Sam Howell. His numbers were huge in North Carolina. Yeah. Then he just measured a little shorter than we thought. How many times is the NFL going to overrate height for a quarterback? That's the only reason he fell.
Well, I give a little bit to height.
Because your quarterback in Buffalo is so tall.
Well, but I'm a little heightist. All right, I'll give you that.
Yeah, I'm getting
because,
that.
I'm sorry, Samter.
Maggie,
it's not personal. Not my personal life. Not in my personal life. I'm not a heightist. But when it comes to quarterbacks, maybe I am a bit of a heightist because I look at Bryce Young, who's smaller. I look at, listen, Russell Wilson is amazing, but there are some deficiencies that he has. I think it's because of the height. I do think that, Kyler Murray is, he's so quick and shifty and fast. He maybe can make up for some things, but I'm not rushing to, have my quarterback be 5'10". I don't love that in a quarterback.
Okay, listen.
I digress.
Sam Howell's 6'1".
Oh, okay. Then he's fine.
Yeah, and what is Jalen Hurts? I think he's 6'2", 6'1.5". He's listed at 6. Jalen Hurts is 6'1". Patrick Mahomes is 6'2". I don't think these are not tall quarterbacks. They're not Justin Herbert, and I think you'd be fine. Tua is tiny, and he led the most efficient offense in the league. I don't think height matters anymore, but I still think old school scouts and Maggie Gray overestimated. They want the prototype.
We're at the bar together. And you're the movie beers.
You're in the movie Moneyball. You're one of the old scouts who doesn't get it.
Yeah, there's 100 feet of crap than us.
What is it to you that made Sam Howell look like Taylor Heineke? It's the height.
It actually, I just meant that as a backup. He looked to me like he was a backup. And
because of why?
I thought that some of the throws that he was making were, again, he got a little lucky, I thought, in some of those throws.
Yeah, obviously he's not going to complete 90% of his passes.
No. And so I'm not, although I do like the idea of the Commanders maybe crashing the party a little bit in the NFC East. I think the Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys are far and away the two best teams. I'm not totally sold on the New York Giants all of a sudden taking a step forward. And I kind of like that the Commanders could be challenging here. Listen, it's the NFC.
You just said Sam Howell is basically a backup level guy. How are they going to challenge two of the better teams in the whole NFC?
Okay, well, I watched Terry McLaurin, even though he did hurt his toe.
Great.
I'm watching Jahan Dotson, who's awesome. I'm watching Brian Robinson, who's awesome as running back, and they have Gibson as well. And I'm looking at, here's my big thing about why I think that Washington's going to be interesting. Their defense is so good on paper, but they've never been able to really put it together for a full season where the defense is the thing from week 1 to week 17. You have Chase Young, who's now without a contract next year. This is a former defensive rookie of the year. I know we're on in Ohio. Of course, the Ohio State fans know exactly how talented he is. I think Chase Young in a contract year, like, look out. This could be like defensive player of the year type stuff that he's battling with Micah Parsons and Nick Bosa and those guys for defensive player of the year.
Chase Young.
Yes.
Chase Young, like
Chase
medium
Young,
effort Chase Young.
Motivated because he doesn't have a contract because the team didn't pick up the 5th-year option. That's a major wake-up call to a young player. He's just been hurt a little bit. I think
the guy has 9 sacks in 3 seasons.
Just wait.
Defensive player of the year.
I think so. I'm getting long odds on it, too, which I like.
I don't think they have odds on it.
No, I think he's in there. But anyway,
Chase Young, really?
I think this is a big breakout season for him. And
but even so, if the quarterback's not good, they're not going to challenge. I mean,
okay, but that's...
Philly's winning 11 games and
No.
Dallas is winning 11. How is Washington going to challenge that?
Well, this is the 49ers thing, right? You have a great defense. That means you're going to be in every game. That's how the Ravens still made the playoffs last year, even though Lamar missed the last 5 games. If your defense is that good, all you need is Sam Howell not to mess it up, and you could be right there.
I mean, you're comparing them to the 49ers defense?
Listen,
I think
Washington
Washington has a very good defense.
Was in a great pass rush.
Yeah, but I would argue they have the 4th best defense, arguably, in that division.
It could be capable of being higher.
I mean, the Eagles are stacked on defense.
Yes, they are.
The Cowboys have like 9 Pro Bowlers on defense.
Yeah, and added
Stefon Gilmore.
Yeah.
And the Giants are really good at defense,
Although
too.
added Stefon Gilmore a little bit late in his career.
Okay, and the Giants Giants, all they have is defense and Saquon Barkley.
Well, Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, sure.
Yeah, and Thibodeau's about to blow up. He's your guy. You love Kayvon Thibodeau.
I do, but I still love Chase Young in a motivated year.
Yeah, but all those guys. Anyway, my point is they're going to need to be in this conversation. They are going to need Sam Howell to look like a first-round pick, not like Taylor Heineke. And it's funny that you're higher on the team, but I'm higher on the quarterback.
Yeah.
I just think right now that's a really tough division. Probably easily the best division in the NFC, which is not saying that much. But, you think the Giants are taking a step back, by the way?
I just don't think it's a given that they're going forward. They won a lot of lucky games last year, 1-score games. I mean, listen, they weren't expected to do a lot. So I thought some of that was maybe, good coaching, sure.
Yeah.
But I think some of it got a couple lucky breaks.
Weak schedule, too.
And now I'm not sure it's all linear here.
Although I'm getting caught up in a little bit. There's a lot of Sam Howell buzz. There's just as much Daniel Jones buzz.
Yep.
Jones looks great. Darren Waller looks great. So to me, the Giants...
Jalen Hyatt, remember they drafted from Tennessee?
Yeah, the Giants and Commanders both feel like they're hovering around 500. Whereas I can't see a way that the Eagles and Cowboys fall below that. So I do think, while I see a lot of positive signs in Washington, I think they're just pinned in a little bit by those elite teams. Where you're saying they could crash the party? Or at least make some noise.
Make it interesting.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm going to watch them a lot closer because I never really considered that.
Also, for all the nonsense about Ron Rivera and Eric Bieniemy and the story from last week about, or was it 2 weeks ago, I guess?
Oh, and now it's like a month ago, right? How players were complaining about Bieniemy?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's preseason. I don't lose my head over that stuff. Perloff loves it. But listen, maybe they needed that kick in the butt. Maybe they needed someone to be a little harder on them.
The guy I love, by the way, is not Chase Young at all. Montez Sweat on the other side.
So good.
Everyone says he's completely unblockable all spring training, but they always find the banana peel, this team. I think it trickles down from ownership, or the old ownership, where there seems to be some dysfunction where as much talent as you put together on that roster, it never really reaches its potential maybe that'll change now.
Yeah, it's something our boss calls loser energy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it's fair, and I think it fit that franchise for a long time because their owner behaves like a loser. 855 used to, their old owner. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, so you can let us know your thoughts if you have them on the NFC East and who you think is going to emerge. I know we got a lot of Cowboys fans listening. Of course, Perloff's Eagles fly. Anyone want to stick up for the Giants on the other side of the glass? All right, then.
No. Okay. I know Chris in Texas can call in about 30 seconds to talk about how the Cowboys win the Super Bowl again.
I know.
I think the Giants have a pretty good coach, so that's one thing. Maybe. Am I a sucker for see the Matt Nagy of this situation where that's a great first year?
I'm going to hold off on that. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, lots of fun on the show today. We continue our NFL preseason debates countdown. That comes up a little bit later on in the show. And we also turn to college football, where two unsettled quarterback situations at the highest levels of college football. Will it matter? We'll get to that in just a moment. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff on this Tuesday, just getting started. We say a good afternoon to the Weedos and Purple Drinkers in our chat. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Don't move. We're back in a minute with a lot more college football.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. So, do you remember in college football when quarterbacks were not the best players on the field?
I can barely, yes.
You barely remember.
You barely, like A.J. McCarron type thing.
No, I'm talking like Tommy Frazier kind of thing.
Okay.
Like way back in the day where quarterbacks didn't regularly throw for 50 touchdowns in college football. It was a running sport. There were so many national title teams that had two quarterbacks that would rotate in, like Florida Gators with Tim Tebow and Chris Leak. It was not a big deal. You did not expect it to have an NFL quarterback, and you could still be a national title contender. And that is why I'm telling you right now, there is a chance that the national champion for 2023 doesn't even know who their quarterback is, and it's late August, Maggie.
And you're okay with it?
I'm fine with it. I'm saying it's old school football. You don't have to commit to a quarterback. It's not like, guess what? Bryce Young won the Heisman. It was awesome. He didn't win a title in that run. So I don't need like this surefire first round quarterback to start if I'm a good enough team. And I think the two teams that we're about to talk about, Ohio State and Alabama, I'm not nervous about those quarterback situations.
Well, these are the big two. So in terms of teams that are, vying for a college football championship this year and who have not yet named a starter, even though college football starts in a couple days, people. Like, college football starts on Saturday. Notre Dame plays Navy in Ireland. USC is playing this weekend. Like, it's happening. And Ryan Day was speaking to the media yesterday, and he said that he is fine with this going into the season.
Yeah, why wouldn't he be?
Well, because here's the thing. You can talk about how back in the day, and I know it's like we've had quarterback switches and guys get hurt and stuff like that, but I think it's an issue if you, in this day and age, if you are trying to win a national title and a guy hasn't emerged yet, someone hasn't won the job. And I know that, like, your team, I guess, can be a lot different in January than they are in September in college football, but that's more of a pro thing to me. Like, your team in the pros, like, we could see Brock Purdy, that could happen where the Mr. Irrelevant goes 8-0 to end the season with the San Francisco 49ers, and it looks totally different. For college, I think in this day and age, it's a red flag if you have not had one of your guys outright win the job. This is not holding it close to the vest because you don't want to give Indiana an edge. This is a guy hasn't gone out and grabbed the reins and won the job.
Yeah, but I'm thinking there are a lot of champions lately who have not had their week one starter go on to win the title. Trevor Lawrence was stuck behind Kelly Bryant at Clemson. Obviously, Tua took over for Jalen Hurts.
I know you realize you're talking about two of the great, could be great quarterbacks.
I mean, look at that Ohio State team itself with Ryan Day, I think was on the staff. Cardale Jones filled in for Braxton Miller, who filled in for J.T. Barrett, or vice versa.
And that was one of the stack, though. The rest of the teams
so are these. So is Ohio State. Guess what? any of these guys could come in there. Anybody could come in there and throw 35 touchdowns. It's a system. And Ryan Day, I think I have so much confidence in him as an offensive coach and the talent around them. This is hardly a reason to panic. I feel like Devin Brown or McCord could throw for 40 touchdowns. Honestly, like Haskins, they didn't even start Joe Burrow one year, this program. They let Joe Burrow, probably the second best quarterback in the whole NFL. They're like, well, we don't even really need you because we have another guy who could throw for 50 touchdowns. I don't think there's any reason to get too worried about this because I think a lot of guys could succeed at Ohio State. And Alabama, it's actually interesting. You know, I don't know that Nick Saban's comfortable with these high-octane quarterbacks. I think he wants more of a run defense game anyway, and that might suit them because they're sort of falling behind Georgia right now, so maybe that they go back to their roots.
Yeah, I don't know. You got Jalen Milroe, you got Ty Simpson, you have Tyler Buckner who transferred from Notre Dame. I just, it's kind of like if it was this competition that was so fierce because all these guys were just so good and so clean and no one was making mistakes, and that's why you can't tell who's the starter and who's not. I'm not getting that sense from the coaches. Like Ryan Day is saying, listen, one guy will have 2 good days of practice and then he'll fall back to the pack and the other guy will catch up to him. I mean, Nick Saban is basically saying, you know, they have a true freshman who he's like, well, that guy actually has made some progress. It's not like they're heaping praise on these guys, and that's what's making the decision so tough.
That's called coaching, Maggie.
Well, okay.
Nick Saban, Mr. Bill Belichick, best friend, yeah. That's called sending a message. We need better. And same thing with Ryan Day. And listen, it's not like these guys are like, you know, Joe Schmoes that they picked off the JV squad. I mean, they're all top recruits. They're all basically 5-star guys who are, you know, waiting their turn, who probably should be starters somewhere in the country anyway. I mean, actually, every single one of them was highly recruited.
I'm sure.
I know.
It's
Brown
Alabama.
and McCord
It's Ohio State.
So I'm just saying this is going to sound generic. A lot of guys could come into Ohio State and kill it this year.
Okay, but these guys could have been highly recruited other places. Not everybody has the same expectations as a program like Ohio State and a program like Alabama.
Yeah, but I mean, they were really highly recruited. I know, I think Devin Brown and McCord were both top 50 players. Milroe was a huge recruit. Buckner was a huge recruit back in the day at Notre Dame. They've all have a lot of chops. I'm telling you, they all showed a lot of potential.
All right, so you're saying nothing about this concerns you at all?
Not at all. Honestly, like, you look at the champions. Did Stetson Bennett, when he took over at Georgia, did that get me excited? No. When Joe Burrow was in his second year at LSU and was about to light the whole world on fire, I had no idea. Like, I think C.J. Stroud was great at Ohio State. What did he win? He won nothing. He didn't even beat Michigan. You know, I just don't think that college football is reliant on the quarterback like the NFL is. You need a quarterback to have sustained success. In the NFL, it seems like these programs, especially Ohio State, just plug anyone in there. Are you down? Like, so the fact that Georgia named their starter, does that give them an edge here?
I think that it shows one guy ran out and grabbed the job. And you're even saying like C.J. Stroud, who could end up being a great pro, couldn't beat Michigan.
Yeah, I'm just saying, he was a number 2 overall pick. They knew he had to win the job the year before, and that went pretty late into the summer. I just don't think that when college football, I don't think you need that guy. And it's funny, with Alabama and Nick Saban, doesn't this feel like something that Nick Saban is very comfortable with? Just the way he is, sort of an old school grumbly guy. Like, I don't think he likes his world where his quarterbacks are throwing for 40 touchdowns and have massive NIL deals and are big stars. Well, I think he wants to coach everybody, just like Bill Belichick. Yeah,
I mean, probably. I think there's a little bit of every college coach who just wants people to do exactly what they say at all times and play like they want to play. But Nick Saban can be a chameleon. And
true.
And when everyone thinks he's being, Mr. Salty, kids today, I don't like where the sport is going. Meanwhile, he's secretly working to beat everyone at their own game.
Yeah.
I think he did like having Tua as his quarterback. I think he did like having Jalen Hurts.
I think he was much happier when he had Greg McElroy because he won the title, and everyone's like, man, how great a coach is Nick Saban? He just won a title with Greg McElroy at quarterback. I think that is his ideal scenario.
No, but it's football's changed since Greg McElroy was playing in 12.
Yeah, it hasn't changed that much. And maybe somebody goes back to the way it was. Yeah, we're talking 2012.
No, but I'm saying like it has changed because Alabama was able to have the best running backs, and that's what got them to national titles. And look at what's happening now. Like running back, it's not that it's devalued as much in college, but look at it in the NFL.
Yeah, but who are these great quarterbacks? I mean, listen, was Stetson Bennett so good for Georgia?
No, but Georgia has an all-time great team around them with guys.
Yeah, but
with 10 guys getting drafted, 12 guys getting drafted.
Have you looked at any mock drafts to see how many Alabama guys are in there? I mean, they have pros at every position. Ohio State's ridiculous. Ohio State might have 2 of the top 5 picks at wide receiver.
I know. Who's going to get them the ball?
Anybody.
I don't know.
I'll bet you anything. That passing offense is going to hum this year.
You and I could be throwing to Marvin Harrison. It's not going to matter.
Yeah, I mean, and they're going to be just fine.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Do you agree with Perloff? Ohio State, Alabama haven't named starters yet. It's going to be fine. Going to all work out. Are you with me? I think bit of a red flag that none of these guys have just gone out and grabbed the job and left no doubt, hey, I'm the starter. 855-212-4CBS. Samter, I think that could be poll worthy. Something like that. All right, let's get to the phones. Let's check in with our pal. Ryan is in Santa Barbara. Hey, Ryan, how are you?
Maggie and Perloff. How are you? Oh, wow. You know, super busy, but I was listening yesterday, and Perloff, thank you so much for backing up my Niners and Purdy. And you know what's going to happen. They're going all the way. And I love the fact that there's 4 topics I have real quick, and I don't want to take a bunch of time. But the
Pick the best one.
Garden, $100K for
we're going to get to that, Ryan. Oh, my gosh.
I love it.
Wait, for everyone else who's listening, so talk about your all-time backfires. James Harden goes out of his way when he's on a tour in China to call out Daryl Morey. Say he's never going to play for any organization that Daryl Morey is a part of because Morey's a liar. The NBA does an investigation, and instead of getting upset with Morey or the 76ers, they fine Harden $100,000.
I love it. What a kook. And he deserves it. Larden deserves it. Oh, God, and he's going to end up playing for him. You know, that is so disgusting. But and then my last point, and because I'm so off topic from what you guys have been doing, because I'm from yesterday, but who are your top 10 NFL wide receivers, with me starting with Jefferson as number 1?
So currently, not all time.
No, right now, currently, who are the top 10?
All right.
Wait. Hey,
somebody's got a fantasy draft coming up.
Ryan, you do wine tours, right?
Yeah, and you guys were supposed to be on there for vacation. It was a freebie, and I'd have gotten you 25% off at the highest end resort.
All right, we're not doing a commercial here. Wait, Ryan, I just went through the
just put a pin in that. We'll be out there, right?
Yeah, I was just in Germany and Austria. Have you? This is Riesling country. Everywhere we went, there were wine grapes.
Yeah.
Did you know this? I did not. I was unaware.
Oh, my gosh. German Riesling and Austrian. Those are some of my favorite varietals. Yeah, dry. Not sweet, but the dry ones are amazing. Some of the most expensive, too, out there. Yeah. They're beautiful wines.
I'll let you guys just get to a cocktail party that you got to get to, and I'll just hang over here. Ryan, you're the best. Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you soon. Ryan, we never said we weren't ever coming for the wine tour. We we couldn't do it this time, but this is the year to go to Northern California.
Oh, really? They're having a good year?
I think, I only know this because I've been to wine country at this time of year, and it's great. But I think it's great all the time.
How's the summer right now? Is it a rainy season?
Well, LA is terrible, the southern part of
Do you know how to taste wine? Because I watch a lot of wine tasting over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. So I do love a dry Riesling. So here's what happens when I go to a winery.
Sweet.
I also love Franzia out of the box. But this is
who doesn't?
This is what happens whenever I go to a fancy wine place. I get really good at detecting the notes and swirling the wine while I'm there.
Sure.
And it escapes me the moment I walk off the premises.
I think the whole industry and everybody who says that they're good at tasting wine is lying. I think it's the biggest mass lie.
It's all perpetrated by big wine.
You know the very popular Trader Joe's wine, Charles Shaw.
The $2 Chuck?
$2 Chuck.
Yeah. I think that's bad for you, by the way.
They did a giant taste testing with $2 Chuck and fine vintage wines with professional wine tasters, and they had no idea which was which.
Yeah, no,
they
I
gave
can't
$2 Chuck the greatest grades ever.
Of course, it's 100 points out of the
When you say that, it's loaded with sulfates, but it's probably kind of sweet. They're like, ooh, I like this.
No,
I think the whole thing, in the history of mankind, there's no bigger lie than people can tell which wine is good.
Yeah, I agree with you. How you know you're drinking a bad wine, though, is as you're drinking it, you are also getting a hangover. It's I don't even get to enjoy this, and then the hangover comes later. I'm having the hangover while I'm drinking it.
Listen, I could drink Boone's Farm after school and have a great time. I do not need fine wines, but I do find the whole process too. And I love people who are like, I'm just tasting and spitting out, and I'm not here to get loaded. Get out of here.
Wineries are the scenes of so many crimes. I've seen more drunk women at wineries than in any bar in any city across this country. People get sloppy at wineries.
We were at
dress over your head type stuff.
We went to a lunch at this shouldn't be funny, but we went to a lunch at a Long Island winery or vineyard. And there was everything was a mess as we were driving up the gate. And we're like, what happened? Somebody that was leaving, they just drove into the field. They were off the driveway, just veered off into the field.
Oh my gosh, they're going to kill somebody. I mean, it is.
You've seen Sideways, the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people getting loaded in wine country, right?
I think it's an excuse to get loaded. Yes, Amter.
Yeah, no. I mean, especially here, Long Island in New York, you have to take the shuttle buses, those party buses.
Yeah.
That's the only way to do it. Otherwise, because you go there I'm only going to have a couple sips. And they're 3 or 4 sips of a wine plus a couple glasses here or there plus 3 different vineyards. The next thing you know,
you're
you can't see straight. Yeah.
Well, the other part, too, is if you're in Northern California, or I've never been to wine country in Oregon, but I'm sure it's beautiful, all the Pinots and stuff. Look at us talking about wine. But that driving is kind of treacherous too. Once my husband and I, we were still dating, went to wine country but took bikes. But you got to be careful.
That's a bad decision.
We biked from place to place, and by the end, it's I was glad we were wearing helmets.
Walking is a challenge. Forget about biking.
I just had this image of you behind, following your husband on a bike, just veering off slowly into the right, tipping over, and just Maggie's asleep on the sidewalk.
Just my teeth stained all red, the red wine.
So, Perloff, you don't believe in Raymond Thompson's, the 2023 ASI Best Sommelier of the World?
Oh my gosh, no, I do not. I think it's all a fake. People just like to drink alcohol and wine. But maybe I'm wrong because I was never a wine drinker. I don't drink anymore.
Yeah.
But I was I'm a man. I drink scotch and vodka.
Yeah. Sure.
I will say this: I did watch some videos of this guy Raymond Thompson's from a couple months ago, and he just had
a couple months ago. You're just doing this in your free time?
It was on TikTok. It just was there, and here he is sipping wines, and he's telling you the year. Okay, this is from France, and he was naming the region, then he was naming the grape.
One of those things?
Yeah.
He made it up. That whole thing's a mass lie.
It's Mad Dog 4040.
And all the judges are all along with it, too.
Yeah. Two-Ton Tony's in the chat says, bikes, who does that? It's a great question. It wasn't our most well-thought-out plan.
Wait, can I just tell you one thing, though? I said I didn't drink wine because it wasn't a man's drink. If you were on a date and a guy ordered a Zinfandel or a rosé.
I love a red Zinfandel.
Yeah, but if the guy ordered that on a first date.
You just named 9 wines.
I love
a dry Riesling. I love a Pinot.
But men can't order that at a bar, right? It can't be
not a white Zinfandel, but you can order a Zinfandel.
If you're having a steak dinner, what else are you drinking with a steak? You drinking red wine.
A red Zinfandel's an actual real
right.
wine. White Zinfandel's what you drank in high school.
But not at dinner, just a drink order. My wife's go-to drink order is a rosé, a glass of rosé. Men cannot do that, right? That's not something we have access to. Or is it? I don't know. Help me out, guys.
My husband does not generally order rosé.
I do not. My girlfriend does, though.
What do you order, Stu?
Usually a beer or something like that.
Yeah, Stu's a man's man.
Or pina colada.
with 2 umbrellas.
I thought you might go Diet Coke. I was actually not sure what you were going to say there.
Wait, just a water, please.
I love that Stu's second drink is a pina colada.
Yeah.
It escalates so quickly.
Actually, I don't know. What is Samter's drink? Do you know?
Samter, what do you drink? You look like let's guess.
Scotch.
No, vodka soda.
No, there was a time in the summer when it was really hot, a vodka soda worked.
Straight vodka.
I mean, you keep doubting Stu as if Stu is not the king of the world. I'm a Scotch guy.
Oh, you
all
are a
I do
Scotch
is
guy.
drink Scotch.
Oh.
That's all I do. I have a whole Scotch collection at home.
Oh, and can you tell the difference between an expensive one and a cheap one?
I can't, and I can tell you another story. When I worked at a bar in Arizona, Louis XIV is a very expensive, like $1,300 bottle of Scotch, brandy, whatever. The guy who owned the bar would fill it with Jack Daniels, and people would order it for $300 a shot, and nobody, not once, could tell the difference or made any complaint at all.
Diabolical.
That's somewhat illegal, too, by the way.
Not
That's
somewhat.
called
It
fraud.
is straight up illegal.
Yeah, you cannot do that.
That's like what we all did to our parents, where we filled up the liquor bottles with water.
With water. I know.
So, Mom, Dad, if you're listening, yeah, there's a reason.
It's all watered down.
Every bottle turned white.
My friend once got caught because, sorry, Mom, we were drinking at his house before a dance, and my friend left her corsage in his parents' liquor cabinet.
Oh, God.
Like, oh, my goodness. Scene of the crime.
So, Ack. What is Ack drink? Wait, don't
Diet
tell
Coke.
us.
There you go.
You don't drink alcohol?
I've been to Europe with Rich Ackerman at the Olympics, and he never drank a glass of wine. We were in Italy for a month.
You were in Italy? And you...
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know. Well, not just me and Ack, a lot of people. Like
But
a whole
Maggie noticed.
office.
You and Ack vacation together
Yeah.
in Italy?
It's me and Ack, you know,
In the
hanging
countryside
out.
of Torino or Turin.
Just day trips to Milan, me and Ackerman. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay. Did we get to the bottom of that? Ryan wine tour.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting question. Does anyone out there really know a good wine from a bad wine?
Yeah.
I am not convinced yet. I want somebody to really, who really knows this stuff, who really believes. I think there's a lot of lying out there.
I agree. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, coming up, got a lot to do, including, do we have a new candidate for the most dysfunctional team in the NFL? Someone's really trying to separate themselves from the pack. We'll tell you what they did and just the latest. Right after this CBS Sports Update, here's Rich Ackerman.
Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you could save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. Baker Mayfield has had some success early in his career with the Browns and hoping to find it again in his latest stop. The former top pick overall has been named the Buccaneers starting quarterback. James Harden fined $100,000 by the NBA for his recent public trade comments, in which he also called Sixers GM Daryl Morey a liar. The Rays remain without shortstop Wander Franco, who is now on administrative leave from Major League Baseball. He's currently under investigation for alleged relationships with underage women. The Orioles are the American League's top team and back home to host the Blue Jays, coming off a big road trip out west that concluded with a sweep of the A's. Grayson Rodriguez will start tonight against Yusei Kikuchi. The Blue Jays open the day a game behind the red-hot Mariners for the final wild card in the American League, with Seattle now winning 7 straight and 15 of 18 taking last night's series opener in Chicago. They're only now 2 games behind Texas in the AL West. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Football season's almost here. From the college game to the NFL, no one has you covered like CBS Sports Radio. Find us 24/7 on your local Odyssey affiliate, SiriusXM Channel 158, streaming online, or the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the armed forces, DoD veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. What the heck did Stu pick this week?
I said the same thing.
There's nothing going on. You're doing preseason?
No. One of the guys who had a pick six in preseason. I don't know.
I don't know what else you would possibly use. Baseball, I guess.
It is NFL related. It's going to be hard to deviate from football from
Is
here
it the
on out.
guy?
Okay, good
is
to
it
know.
the guy on the Packers who I mentioned yesterday who terrorized everybody? No.
It is not, no.
Is it a pick six?
No, it is someone who had 3 sacks over the weekend. A good performance.
Is it a veteran?
Oh, is it Joey Porter Jr.?
No, it's three sacks. So, wait, is it a veteran or a younger player?
He's pretty young. He actually went to Dartmouth.
No way!
Yep. I saw that he went to Dartmouth and he automatically won in my book.
There's a guy out of Dartmouth who had 3 sacks in the preseason. I was not alerted to this. I don't have alerts on my phone for Dartmouth football games.
How dare you?
So Saints defensive end Nico Lalos in Sunday's 22-17 win over the Chargers. He had 3 sacks, 4 tackles for a loss, and a pass defended.
Wait, can I tell you something about Nico Lalos?
Former Giant.
Went to St. Vincent St. Mary High School.
I saw that
and
as well.
LeBron used to tweet about him when he made 2 good plays for the Giants.
St. Vincent St. Mary's and in Dartmouth. How about that?
How about that?
Is he going to make the team?
It's a good question. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Stu, you have the power to make these things happen.
keep racking up those sacks, and you make a good impression on Dennis Allen.
There you go. That's exciting.
Nice.
That is not what I expected.
No.
Didn't expect the Dartmouth guy to get a Defensive Player of the Week.
Way to go, deep cuts, Stu. Appreciate that. 855-212-4CBS. So Perloff asked, because he called BS on the wine industry.
Not necessarily the wine industry, but all the amateurs who think that they're wine experts at the dinner table and sort of swish around when they don't really know what they're talking about.
The notes of charcoal and chocolate. Okay, let's get to the phones because Kate has called in from South Carolina. Kate, it says here that you are a certified sommelier.
I sure am.
Wow, that is a dream job. So tell us, how do you acquire the talent of, of wine tasting?
So it's just like any other talent. It does take practice. I know it can sound like a parlor trick, and everyone thinks that I just drink all day at my job, which there's a little bit to that. But drinking and tasting are different. And so, yeah, it's basically you can tell the difference between types of tomatoes, right? You know, the difference between an heirloom tomato and a cherry tomato. It's the same thing with grapes, and whenever you make different wines with them, they are classically different. So there is enough difference to learn what makes them different and what makes them taste different, where they're from and whatnot. So it's a lot of studying. I draw a lot of maps.
Kate, you overestimate the audience here. Sandra has no idea what an heirloom tomato or a cherry tomato is.
Yeah, by the way, anyway. Kate, those are raw tomatoes. I could tell the difference between 2 kinds of grapes, but once you ferment it, then it's a different ballgame altogether.
Yes and no. So, if something comes from, say, a warmer climate, it's going to, be a riper fruit. And so it's going to create more sugar in the grapes themselves. So whenever you ferment them, more sugar, it's going to be higher alcohol, and be more fruit forward. Whereas, if it's going to be a cooler environment, then you're going to have less sugar, and the resulting wine in and of itself is going to be lower alcohol. And so that's like one basic principle that you can start applying to figuring out where things are from.
See, people say they don't learn anything on this show. I mean, that is just patently false. We just learn how to tell whether a grape is from a wine's from and a grape's from a warmer climate. Okay, Kate, last one for you. So certified sommelier, we're talking about wines. Perloff's not a believer. But every job has perks and has drawbacks, right? The perks of a sommelier, pretty clear, right? You get to drink wine. That's cool. What's the worst part of the job? Because every job is BS.
I guess the fact that you always have to be on it, So I come from I work pretty high end. I've worked at some 4- and 5-star restaurants and whatnot, and every night is like the Super Bowl. You have to show up, and you have to be 100% on it to every guest and every experience, and always put together. And I guess that's kind of the hardest part of the job.
Yeah.
Kate, what about when you have a guest at a dinner table who is trying to impress people and is saying things about wine that are not accurate? Do you call them out and actually call him out because it's usually a guy? Do you call him out or let him go?
So ultimately, as a sommelier, you're supposed to be very humble, and I'm there to facilitate your experience. And if that's the experience that you have chosen and your guests have chosen to come with you and experience, then that's kind of on you. However, it does get to a point where you do learn how to tell someone to go to hell and let them look at the trip. And so, you just do it in such a way that, you are the expert, and you tell people that, no, you are incorrect, but, never to embarrass. But
no, Kate's just behind the blowhard, and everyone else at the table can see her, but the guy trying to be a jerk can't see her, and she's like doing the the hand to the neck or like rolling your eyes. Yeah. Like, no, don't listen to this guy. Kate, thank you so much. What a cool job you have. Appreciate you weighing in. Look at Kate's on top of it. Every night's a Super Bowl.
All right, but she's a sommelier. I want to hear from people who are not professional wine tasters.
Well, Stephen in Oregon. Stephen, are you a professional winemaker?
I am.
Oh, great.
You can tell the difference. How long did it take you to get this skill?
Well, I've been bending my elbow for about 40 years, but 28 of them have been making wine here in the Willamette Valley.
I love Willamette Valley wine, by the way. I got to go there, Steven.
Every type of wine,
Yes.
area of wineries, every type of grape, you're just in love.
I know. You guys are learning a little bit more about me today. Steven, thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. When we're coming into harvest, color change is happening, so we're about a month away.
There
Love
we go. See, I
it.
knew this time of year. Obviously, harvest, of course. Duh, Maggie.
The best time of year. You got football, you got wines, you got
The
fruit,
harvest.
something called fruit forward.
Everything. I love a fruit forward wine.
I just have trouble believing that there's. I should have said this, Kate, but how serious can your job be when you slowly become worse at it the more you do it because you get drunk?
Well, no, some
Isn't
people
that
get
basically
better.
any job?
Yeah, kind of. Don't operate heavy machinery. But that's not true. Some jobs you get better as you get drunker, like darts player and stuff like that.
Yeah, but there's a window for, we're all good.
It's a bell curve.
Yeah, it's between 3 and 7 beers is when you are at your best in pool. But by the time the 7th beer hits, you're terrible at pool.
Right.
You can't play sober, but you can't play drunk. So you have to find that sweet spot. Same with bowling. Everyone knows these rules. These are universal rules of how much to drink in casual sports.
Yeah, man, and they're steadfast. Like
Yeah.
it's the 10 Commandments. Jeffrey Howell in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Do you have to specify a specific tip for the sommelier? We didn't ask that.
Why?
I never asked for the sommelier. I'm just give me whatever's cheapest.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No. You always take the second cheapest because you don't want to appear cheap.
Yep.
So you're like, you don't know what any of the things on the wine list mean, but like, give me this one just above the cheapest.
The second cheapest is actually toilet bowl water that they are
that they've marked up 475%.
to wine. I know. They know our tendencies and our habits. I like Kate, though, and Steven. I like that's an aspirational job for me, sommelier. Could I get certified on the side or something?
You know who people in the waiting industry do not like? People like me who don't drink, especially when it's a table full of us and we show up, because that's where the money, and you're from the restaurant business, your family, they do not like sober people at all.
When you walk up to a table and they're like, water's all around, it's like, ugh.
I know, and I always do that. And then, like, one person will order a Diet Coke just because they feel bad. That's not doing it.
Doesn't do anything.
They
That
need
goes
something
like
that's
2 cents.
expensive that will impair your judgment and make you spend more.
Exactly. We want all inhibitions lowered. We want you ordering that extra plate of fries, dessert, all that stuff.
Yeah, and no virgin pina coladas either.
No.
Oh, my kids order those. By the way, they're delicious. There's about 4,000 calories in them. Hey, I read a food trend today that I think you guys would be interested in. Apparently, people are not ordering entrees in restaurants. They're ordering salads and fries. That's their whole meal, salad and fries. I read it in the paper this morning.
So is this to make yourself feel better about what you're doing? Like I'll have a little healthy salad and then I'll have the splurge with the fries?
It's kind of like that. It's also that people don't think that they need to order the entree to impress everyone. They can create their own meal experience. And people like to eat fries. And people like salad. So why do you have to get the entree when really you're just getting it to get the fries?
Who's ordering the entree just for the fries? What are they, 5 years old? Don't you order the entree for the entree?
So, I don't know. A lot
the
of
steak,
people
the
prefer
chicken, the fish.
A lot of people just prefer the fries. So why not just order fries and a salad and call it a meal? This is a big trend. Apparently, restaurants in New York City are having to hire more people to make salads because salads are so popular.
That sounds so ridiculous.
I will show you this article.
That is wrong.
Wait, that sounds like a great order. A salad and fries sounds like a delicious meal to me.
Okay, but just because you eat the salad doesn't let you off the hook for the fries if you're trying to be healthy.
It kind of does. No, it kind of does.
You could be like, have you ever eaten in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
It's fries on everything.
No, I think salad and fries is a lot less calories than a full meal with fries.
Who are these people? This is like a kindergarten class all of a sudden that they're decided to like interview for an article?
No, it's a hot trend.
I don't believe it. Coming up. All right. Our preseason debates countdown. You know, can he win a series for you? Can he actually stay healthy? Can he put the team on his back? I mean, he's the reigning MVP, for goodness sake.
I think we all know the answer to all those questions. It's a resounding no.
It is a cacophonous no, resounding from all different areas of the globe.
I think even Joel Embiid, if you'd asked him that series of questions right there, he'd be like, I don't know. What do you think? I don't think so.
Big time no. All right, let's get to our NFL preseason debates countdown.
NFL preseason debates countdown. 16 days.
16 days until the start of the NFL season. We're counting down the biggest NFL preseason debates. And one comes a little tangentially off of last night, Perloff, not about Sam Howell and the Commanders, but on the other side about the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Lamar Jackson didn't play last night, but you can obviously see the difference, just Zay Flowers alone. But you can see the difference in what they're trying to do as a passing attack. So the debate is, can Lamar Jackson become an elite passer?
Okay. So Lamar Jackson has been an MVP and a great quarterback, but he's never really had more than 3,300, I think, is the total. What's his high total? 3,300 yards. So I think this is a two-part question. 3,127 yards is his career high in basically 4 full seasons as a starter. I do not think he can, because to be an elite passer, you have to throw for at least 4,000 yards, if not a little more. So you think of the elite passers, you're talking about Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and I don't think he can become that. I don't think he has to become that either, but I don't think he is going to all of a sudden throw for 4,700 yards here. I agree with you. There's definite improvement. Zay Flowers is awesome. But are you serious? You think he's going to go from 3,000 yards to 4,600?
I think that he's definitely topping 4,000 yards. And I don't know if they're going to need to do this, but I think he will get to that mark almost to make a point, because they know that for fans and for the casual, like, NFL fan, people know 4,000 yards is kind of like a certain benchmark, right? If you want to be considered a really great passer, that's like the low on the benchmark that you can get to in this day and age, especially with 17 games. And so I think that he's definitely going to get to 4,000. My question is, he's still going to rush for 1,000. You know, that's kind of been the whole thing about Lamar, is also getting those rushing yards in. Josh Allen gets sort of close, so it's definitely possible, but will the rushing
close? I mean,
700 yards. I'm like
700 yards compared to what? Let's look at some Lamar Jackson. Here's the thing. I know this offense is geared towards passing, but if he has a lane right in front of him, you're telling me he's not going to take off?
Well, that's part of the discipline of really, trying to commit to a passing attack and then also letting your running backs do some of that work as well. Listen, we could say the same thing about Josh Allen. He doesn't have the discipline right now to not take the running lane. So but I think that Lamar, I think they're trying to make a point here that the way they've been playing with Lamar has not gotten them where they want to go in terms of the playoffs. Now, he hasn't been healthy the last 2 seasons, but they've got to change something up. And Zay Flowers looks legit.
Yeah, he looks great. Odell
Not to
Beckham,
mention Odell, yeah.
Yeah,
Sean
but Odell, listen, Odell will probably be hurt at some point. I'm sorry. So Josh Allen has 7 attempts a game in his career, and Lamar Jackson has 10.5 attempts per game in his career. He had 11.7 in his MVP year. I just think there's going to be lanes there, especially with all these young receivers. What happens is, to cover these guys, you're going to have to go man-to-man. You can't leave everybody in zone. So you're going to turn your back on Lamar Jackson. He's going to be too tempted to run, and that's going to take away pass attempts. To get 4,000 yards, you need a lot of pass attempts. It's just pure math, Maggie. Pure
Thank
math.
you. I know, Dartmouth. I appreciate that. You bringing math into this Tuesday
numbers.
afternoon.
There's only so many downs, and if he takes off on all these downs, it's going to be – I think it's still going to be tempting for him to run because he's so good at it. I mean, he's definitely the best running quarterback of all time. I don't think, as far as the running goes, not the total package, although he's pretty good. But I don't think that he can get to 4,000 yards because the carries are just going to be too tempting. Now, listen, will the running backs get any carries there? They traditionally have not. J.K. Dobbins is still not healthy, so I don't know who else is going to carry the ball. They might pass a lot, but I just think Lamar's running will just sort of water down his passing stats. That's what I think. I mean, you could be right.
I think you're going to see the change, and you're going to see a commitment to the change. And
so you're saying if he drops back, say he drops back like a long pass, 7 steps, and there's a gaping hole right there. You think he's going to say, you know what, I could run for 12, but just to make a point here, I'm going to throw the ball?
No, I think it's going to be like running the offense. And if you do feel like you have Bateman or Beckham or Flowers or Mark Andrews and you have a play, I think that he's going to go arm first, whereas before it's definitely been legs first.
Yeah, okay. I like getting a quick pass to Zay Flowers, letting him work a little bit.
The other part, too, is, this is going to be, people have said this, I'm not reinventing the wheel here, but the AFC North is going to be really good. I mean, it's always super competitive, but you're looking at the Bengals where Joe Burrow, we have some sound on that, don't we? We have Zach Taylor. Burrow, of course, is, recovering from a calf strain. Here's the latest from Zach Taylor on how much practice does Burrow need before he returns.
1 rep. He needs 1 rep. He looks great. I mean, physically, just walking around, he looks probably as good as he's ever looked at this point. And so that's a positive.
Walking around, he's looked as good as he's ever looked? Okay, whatever. But you get the point. I mean,
does that mean if fashion-wise, he's got some cool outfits on again?
Yeah, I was like, he's just feeling really confident walking around the building, high-fiving people. But it's going to be a crazy division if the Bengals do what people expect, which is, basically be a factor throughout the whole season and, a Super Bowl contender. Of course, the Ravens. The Steelers, there's nothing but positive coming out of the Steelers. The Pickett to George Pickens looks amazing. Obviously, don't have to go through that. And then the Browns are the big sleeper team, I think, in a lot of people's minds.
And your point is?
My point is that I think that the Ravens are going to have to keep up. I think these changes have to happen because I think this is going to end up being a really, really tight division. And so far, while they've been a playoff team, they've never been more than just a playoff team. They've never been a true contender.
Yeah, but I don't know. Just because the other teams I'm not sure I follow your logic. You're saying because the other teams in the division are so good, that's going to make the Ravens' passing offense better?
I think it necessitates that the passing offense
so there are going to be close games. They're going to have to throw more, and they won't be ahead. I don't know. I mean, even last year, remember they played those 2 games at the end of the season against the Bengals, and those were just knock them out, drag them down, ugly.
Well, you have to have the ability to do that too.
I feel like, I totally understand what you're saying. They do have Todd Monken, and I just feel like when it's important and it's a stressful divisional game, they're going to revert to what they know, which is smash mouth football or old school football. Such a cliche, but I just think that they're going to play tough. It's the Ravens, it's an AFC North. It's a sort of sock them in the mouth. It's not a throw the ball all over the field.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. But you're seeing Pickett and Pickens with the passes over 25 yards. It changes. Meanwhile, I put up a little poll just because I wanted to take the temperature of people on social media. Perloff says the new food trend is ordering a salad and a plate of French fries instead of an entree. Is that something you would order? 57% say no.
Oh, so 43% would. That's not bad.
It's not a landslide, but it does sound just a bit ridiculous.
I think it sounds delicious. By the way, and the Wall Street Journal clarified it's a Caesar salad. So you're getting it's a salad, but it's not even healthy.
Yeah, right. I mean, a tablespoon of Caesar dressing is basically your calories for the month.
I think this sounds amazing. Why do you have to go through the formality of ordering, I don't know, chicken piccata when you can just have a big bowl of fries and a salad? That sounds great.
Chicken piccata is so good.
I know. I like ordering the chicken.
Give me a dish you don't like.
Chicken Milanese. I love. Oh, sorry, something I don't like. I don't generally order. I don't order like penne alla vodka.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
I know it doesn't sound good when I just said it, though.
If it was, because you don't want the calories.
Well, that's because I'm vain. But what do I not order? I don't order veal. I don't know why I eat every other animal, but I'm like, oh, the veal.
It's a baby.
Oh, it's just a baby.
I
have no idea if the chicken's a baby.
I was just in Austria-Hungary. I mean, basically, they're killing a lot of baby cows over there because veal is on the menu for every meal. Veal schnitzel, veal loin, veal everything.
So schnitzel's not really a summer dish. Yes, Sam?
Perloff, I'm really happy that you went to Europe, and I'm really excited that you have great stories and some interesting things that came out of it. but you've probably brought it up 37 times throughout every single conversation that we've had so far about, I just came to Europe and therefore won.
It's like he just came back from semester abroad.
Semester abroad. Did I tell you, by the way, I do have one.
I still do that 30 years later.
Okay, you're right. You're right, and I'm glad you ripped me there. I deserve that.
No, I'm not ripping you. I love it, but like everything goes back. Like, listen, you can still think that wine sommeliers are frauds, but it doesn't have anything to do with you being in Europe last week.
With the Rieslings.
Can you shut Mike up here and tell him who I was hanging out with on the boat, Maggie?
Can I say it? Is it okay?
Please, go ahead. Just because if I say it, it'll sound like I'm bragging about my Europe vacation. But if Maggie says it, it's fine.
So I'm hearing the story secondhand from Perloff. So Perloff told me that he was hanging out with someone on the boat, and they were having these conversations, and you told the person that you work in radio, a radio host. So the person goes home, Googles Andrew Perloff.
And McLovin comes up.
My name on Dan Patrick. Not shocking that would happen. You know, eating peanut butter, putting barbecue sauce on your head. Also McLovin. All these things happen. And sent you an email.
Yeah, saying, that's funny that your name is McLovin. Guess who my son is?
No.
Not Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
Oh. Okay,
way better.
Yeah.
Way better?
Way better.
Something McLovin related?
Related to that movie.
Michael Cera?
That would be good, but no. Way bigger. Way bigger than Michael Cera.
Jonah Hill. Emma Stone.
Jonah Hill's closer. Jonah Hill's closer, but even bigger.
Jonah Hill's similar vibe.
But bigger.
More famous.
Like bigger, like larger? Or
no,
bigger,
not
like
smokes more weed.
Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Perloff was hanging out with Seth Rogen's mom in Europe.
And I actually
didn't even know it.
I didn't even know it. But then she wrote me this nice note. And like her son, Seth seems really nice, but she was really nice. They're good Vancouver people. I don't know if I was allowed to say that, by the way. Did I just break some?
It's fine.
Yeah, it was. She emailed. She was like, by the way, you know I'm Seth Rogen's mom. And she was in one of the movies.
Oh, she's in
the one where Katherine Heigl.
Yeah, where he gets her pregnant with the one night stand. Knocked Up.
She's in Knocked Up. Oh, you know this.
I that makes sense.
Yeah, because it was sort of a Seth Rogen family
I think there was
affair.
like a scene with the family, yeah.
Yes. I watched, by the way, when I was on my Europe trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the plane home,
you were
Mike.
in Europe? Get out of here.
I'm watching Mike to see if he's judging me here. I watched The Fabelmans on the way back. Seth Rogen with a very interesting role in that latest Steven Spielberg movie.
Oh, it's about Steven Spielberg, the director. It's about his family.
His life story. And Seth Rogen has a very, very interesting role, which I will at some point talk to his mother about.
Wait, what should we email Seth Rogen's mom? Can we do this all as a show? Like, what
she
do we
might be
want to
listening
know?
right now.
Hi, Mrs. Rogen.
Everybody who was on the cruise, I basically wrote down how to tune into the Maggie and Perloff show, 3 to 6, CBS Sports Radio,
Hi, everyone.
YouTube.
We have to introduce Seth
Series
to the Weirdos for sure.
Oh, Seth, we got to
Seth and the Weirdos would they'd be like a match made in heaven.
I know. We're overthinking. That's why Samter's a producer. You just make it simple.
Yeah.
The Weirdos and Rogen. Seth Rogen, that is. Oh, Joe Rogan.
I don't know if we're going to get Seth Rogen.
Maybe not.
We might get Seth Rogen's family.
Can we have her? Can we have
Is that your Seth Rogen impersonation?
You sound like Beavis and Butthead.
That's basically his laugh.
Is it? Let me hear a little more.
Brian's in the chat says he saw Strays on Saturday, and that movie was awesome. Is Seth Rogen in Strays?
Oh, I've heard about this movie, Strays. What is it? Is he in it?
They're like voicing the animals, the stray dogs.
Will Ferrell's in that one, right?
Yes. So we have to figure out what do we want to write to Seth Rogen's mom now that Perloff's got the in.
Well, I mean, it's clear.
Just the way you say it just sounds really inappropriate. What are you going to write to Seth Rogen's mom?
I don't know. It's like I don't want to ask for anything. It's just like, what do we say to her?
Then why are we writing her if we're not asking for something? Let's not kid ourselves. Let's ask Seth to come on the show and talk to the Weirdos.
And say hi to the Weirdos. As like he would be like their Pied Piper.
Yeah.
She's going to get him to do a cameo. That's what's going to end up happening.
Where we're going to have to pay for it.
We're going to have to pay for it.
There we go. What a deal. Way to know people in high places.
She gets a 25% off discount.
It's like, hey, we did the same thing with Tanya Harding.
Hey, I heard you
Remember when she congratulated us on the show?
Yeah.
And LeVar Ball.
LeVar, yeah.
Lamar.
I know what the cameo would say. Hey, I heard you were on a cruise with my mom. Cool.
And that costs $600. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, you're welcome to weigh in on Lamar Jackson. That's where this conversation started. Whether you think he can become an elite passer. I think he's going to go over 4,000 yards this year passing. Perloff says he's skeptical of that. Also, the James Harden fine. I can't say it without laughing. He calls out Morey for being a liar for not trading him right away to the Clippers, and then Harden gets fined $100,000.
Take that. The NBA choosing sides, and they are definitely not with James Harden.
No, they're not. 855-212-4CBS, which is funny because they weren't with Daryl Morey for a long time. 855-212-4227. Remember that? Dust up. Okay. Coming up next, we have a candidate for the most dysfunctional team in the NFL. And it's not your usual suspects here. You can stand down, Browns, stand back, Commanders. We got a new challenger to enter the ring. We'll get to that in just a moment, right after this. This show is sponsored in part by BetterHelp. Perloff, sometimes in life, we're faced with tough choices and the path forward not always clear. Whether you're dealing with decisions around career, relationships, or anything else, therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life so you can move forward with confidence and excitement. Trusting yourself to make decisions that align with your values, it's like anything. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. And therapy can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind.
You know, we've all been through some unpredictable times over the past few years, and it's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/MNP to get 10% off on your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/MNP. HELP.com/MANP.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie, you know that expression about the NFL, the not-for-long league?
Yeah.
I think that could apply to one team specifically well. That's the Indianapolis Colts.
The whole team.
Well, because one day they're having issues with Jonathan Taylor. The next day, Jonathan Taylor's back. The next day, he's gone. The next day, they're finally giving him permission to get a trade. It's been up and down. One day, the owner is shipping a whale across the country. The next day, the whale's dead.
So sad.
Yeah, so sad. But it just feels very chaotic. And now the Indianapolis Colts, of course, have given permission to Jonathan Taylor, their star running back, to seek a trade. A lot of hoops to go through because I think he wants more money, and teams, as you know, all offseason don't want to pay running back. So I don't know what they would give up for the right to pay Jonathan Taylor. It is a mess, and honestly, I don't see an easy resolution to this one.
No, and it's funny because you're right. For so long, the Indianapolis Colts, I mean, no team's perfect, but the Indianapolis Colts were really held as like one of the model franchises, you know? Even for Jim Irsay, who's always been a little bit of a wild card. He's had a lot of well-documented struggles, but because of Peyton Manning and then moving on to Andrew Luck, it always felt like this was at least a place that you could win.
Yeah,
you
well,
know?
they got wildly lucky with quarterback.
Well, of course, but we're also a bit strategic about that too, right? When they realized that they had to move on from Peyton Manning, they did the whole suck for luck thing and it ended up working out in their favor. Okay.
Even in the last 5 years, by the way, they've still been winning. I mean, they were bad last year. They were 4-12-1, but the year before that, 9-8. The year before that, 11-5. And they had playoff years. So even the bad Colts have been somewhat functional.
Yeah, it's kind of like the basement was never so bad.
No.
And so now to be on their sixth starting quarterback in the last 6 years, and this is going to be Anthony Richardson, who's basically played very little college football. It's going to be a work in progress. I mean, he's exciting as hell, but who knows what it's going to look like the rookie year.
Yeah.
We're not expecting it to be super gangbusters. It's just going to be fun. But now this whole Jonathan Taylor thing and how it's played out on social media, the Colts have become a dysfunctional franchise. And let's just rewind a little bit. Going back to last year when they bench Matt Ryan, which is fine. It's within your right to bench Matt Ryan. But then the firing of the offensive coordinator and the head coach and bringing in Jeff Saturday from the set in Bristol, Connecticut, where he's on ESPN. Like that got a little bump week one against Stu's Raiders, obviously, and then just totally tanked the rest of the season, and culminating in one of the most embarrassing losses when they had a massive lead against the Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings came back. Like, it was bad.
Did the Vikings come back against your Bills too?
Well, thank you.
No, I'm sorry. Anyway, but yeah, that's all true. Last year, I think the low point was just hiring Saturday, who clearly wasn't quite ready to be a coach. Seems like a really, seems like a great dude and everything, and he's a pretty good analyst. That was terrible. I'm not going to kill them for Jonathan Taylor because every single team in the NFL is having trouble handling this running back thing. The Giants are one of the, the blue blood franchises. Right. They had it got ugly with Saquon. Zeke Elliott left Dallas, basically. Austin Eckler was a mess with the Chargers, and Dalvin Cook in Minnesota was a disaster. So there's no easy way to handle running back because teams are not going to pay for him. So to me, it's funny. I understand what you're saying, but the Jonathan Taylor situation, doesn't scream dysfunction for the organization if you take it in a vacuum.
So here's where the dysfunctional part comes in. You spend all offseason basically saying, I'm sorry, Jonathan Taylor, you're not actually saying this, but this is what you're saying by your actions. I'm sorry, but we don't value you and your position enough to extend this big contract to you. But now if you want to go seek a trade, well, the report is we're looking for a first rounder. Like, well, if he's that, valuable that you would want to get that kind of return back in a trade, then you're talking out of both sides of your mouth there. Now, I don't know if they'd be willing. I'm sure they'd be willing to take less. So would they take a second rounder for Jonathan Taylor? Probably.
Oh, definitely.
I just wouldn't do that if I were them. And if I'm the acquiring team, I'm struggling finding a team that would do it. And if I'm the Colts, I don't want to do it. Because
Wait, for a second rounder, you wouldn't do it? I would do that in a heartbeat.
Well, because I think Jonathan Taylor's still 24, and I want somebody who is going to help out my rookie quarterback. Again, like Anthony Richardson has not had a lot of experience here. This might be a little bit of a rough ride his rookie year, and a good running game could help that.
I see what you're saying, but I do think the time is just all off. Jonathan Taylor should be with a contender. He's at his peak, should be ready to go right now. They don't need him. Anthony Richardson's going to eat up some of the rushing yards anyway. This is a total rebuild year. Why? Just let Jonathan Taylor go. You're going to get, if you're lucky, 5 wins.
But I'm saying, and with a second-round pick, is that even possible? Because you're giving up a second pick and then you have to pay him. So it's like it's both.
I don't know. Like, say there's some teams that could have losing records that are linked to him. Say the Bucs trade for him, and then they have a bad year. That could be like 35th pick, which is essentially a low first rounder, high second rounder. So no, I don't think a bad team, a team that has any risk of not being good, is not going to give up a second rounder for him.
Yeah, I don't think so.
What about Dallas?
But see, that's the paradox, because you're saying a team that's good is not going to give up a second rounder, but only teams that are contenders.
A team that is bad is not going to give up a second rounder. Yeah. A team that, if that pick is in the 30s, they're not going to risk that because they're probably rebuilding too.
Yeah.
So, like,
you might as well start over with someone
I saw one
cheaper.
team, Carolina, a couple people have linked to them because, he would be the star. He would replace Christian McCaffrey, but that could be a really high pick.
Yeah, I don't think
And also, they lost a bunch of picks to trade up to get Bryce Young, so that's probably unlikely.
The other thing, too, is does Carolina, are they under that kind of timeline?
Well, is Indianapolis? No.
No, I understand that, but if I'm Indianapolis, all I do is hang on to him and he plays. Like, if I'm Carolina, I got to trade for him, and then I got to pay him when I don't think my timeline is listen, if Carolina ends up, basically vying for the NFC South, like, congratulations, but I think it's going to take a little longer than that.
Can we just run through? I know we didn't plan this. Let's run through a couple teams. Miami obviously wanted Dalvin Cook. That'd be pretty crazy to have Jonathan Taylor and Hill and Waddle and Tua. That is interesting, I have to admit. I don't know how many draft picks they've given up to get all these guys.
Yeah.
But that's the one to me that seems like the least problematic of all the possible Jonathan Taylor teams.
Okay, but so what's going to happen? Here's the thing with Miami. They haven't paid a quarterback yet because of Tua's health situation.
Right.
So what happens when, can you keep kicking that can down the road? Like, if Tua has a great season, are they going to pay him off of that? And then it's the allocation of resources thing. Like, how much do you want to pay your running back? You're already paying Tyreek Hill $100 million, and Waddle's going to need money.
Yeah, I know. So, listen, you're not going to pay the kind of money that's going to prohibit you from paying a quarterback. If Jonathan Taylor, if you pay him at the very high end, $15 million to Jonathan Taylor, it's not going to stop you from paying Tua. And that's a good problem to have. That means Tua stayed healthy and had a really great season.
Yeah.
So I think the Dolphins should have an all-in mode here. That's a team. Whoever wants Jonathan Taylor should be all in and say this is a short-term investment.
If you want to go all in, though, why not go all in with Dalvin Cook?
Well, Taylor's younger.
Okay, Taylor's younger. Okay, but more expensive.
Yes, I think Taylor's better. I think Dalvin Cook is 27. That's the wrong age to be in the NFL. That's the sort of cliff comes at 26, 27. Yeah. Taylor, first of all, lost a year to injury, basically. But how old is he? 24?
Yep.
So I think he's just a better player, more explosive. Now, the thing is, he's not really Christian McCaffrey in the sense that he's not going to be a slot receiver and running back. He's going to be a primary running back. So if you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, you probably don't need to pay a guy like that. I mean, a lot of guys can run in that situation.
I think week 1 of the NFL season, this is what it comes down to. I think week 1 of the NFL season, Jonathan Taylor's playing for the Colts.
Oh, like a James Harden situation where they can't find a trade?
Bad. I mean, I know it's gotten pretty ugly, but...
Well, just in the sense that James Harden wants a trade. The Sixers want to trade him. The Colts are probably fine with a trade. Jonathan Taylor wants to be traded, but the market just doesn't let it happen.
Same thing. I know Saquon and Jonathan Taylor aren't the same type of runner, but Saquon Barkley was looking for a trade, I believe, according to some reports.
Yeah, there were reports.
And couldn't happen. So I think that he will be playing week 1 for the Colts. But as far as dysfunctional franchises, I do think that the Colts are up there right now. And I don't know if Anthony Richardson and a new coach and Shane Steichen is going to change any of this. But they right now are kind of in the punchline mode when things like this happen. I mean, we're used to the punchlines. The Cleveland Browns have been a punchline for a long time. Washington Commanders have been a punchline for a long time. There was a time when my Bills were a punchline. Samter's Jets are a punchline consistently. Still, I don't know about the Raiders. You have your moments.
Raiders. Wait. The Raiders are a way bigger punchline than the Colts. The
John Gruden stuff was pretty bad.
Oh, my God.
Antonio Brown.
And even before Gruden, they were...
They had a different coach like every year for like a decade.
Do you remember Mark Davis eating a chicken wing in preseason going viral? I mean, they are like, trust me.
More awkward, Mark Davis eating a chicken wing going viral, or the awkward handshake last night between Josh Harris, the owner of the Commanders and owner of the 76ers and the New Jersey Devils, to Joe Buck.
That was not good. That was not a good appearance.
If you missed it, Buck is like kind of being demonstrative with his hands as he's describing the action. Josh Harris, the new owner, is in the booth with Buck and Aikman. And Buck hands a hand out like he's talking with his hands, like expressing, emoting with his hands. And Harris just takes it and shakes the hand in the middle of the sentence. Like it was not even the time to be shaking a hand. He clearly wasn't listening to Buck at all.
Is that worse than being left hanging in public view?
Yes, this randomly was worse in a way. It was so awkward.
I think being left hanging is probably worse, like what Peter King did to Josh Allen. Yeah.
But you can make fun of yourself with that, just like sort of, I don't know, shake your own hand or something.
Yeah, but they definitely made contact.
This was weird. This was like his little hand grabbed out to Joe Buck's hand. It looked like a little kid. Looked like a little kid grabbing his parents' hand.
When I think of billionaires, I don't think of guys who look like Josh Harris. No offense to him, not like his face or anything. Just like he looked just like kind of like he just woke up.
Yeah, but when you're that rich, you don't have to dress up and try to look like you're rich.
Yeah, I mean, look at Bill Gates. Does Bill Gates look like he has $1 billion worth of hair care?
No, just like he looked just like really rumpled. Like his
rumpled.
Did you see him? His hair is all messed up. And Rumpelmans, no.
Is rumpled a word? Because if it isn't, it's amazing.
Rumpled? Yeah, you look rumpled.
Rumpled.
Yeah, like disheveled.
Yeah.
Right?
It didn't look like, if I was to pick out like a billionaire in the room, I'm like, my first guess would have been him.
I had the sound off and he came up and I thought.
You didn't miss anything. It was an unintelligible conversation.
So I actually thought, I'm like, who's that guy up there and why is he wearing like such an informal shirt to be on TV?
Yeah.
I was like,
the rules
and I figured out what it was. I thought Troy and Joe invited the director up because it's his final season at ESPN and he's going to leave. I honestly thought, I'm like, oh, that guy clearly works in a production truck, right? Yeah. Doesn't he look like that?
Yes.
So I thought, like Richie Zions is retiring and they had him up in the
deep cut. That's a good one.
Yeah. Although Richie, legend in the field, but still, I did not think that guy was Josh Harris.
It made Buck and Aikman look like they were going to the ballet. It's like, why are you you guys look so overdressed compared to this guy?
But I'm a Sixers fan. I know Michael Rubin. I could recognize him anywhere, the former owner. I guess I didn't really see a lot of Josh Harris.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to be seeing much more of him, especially not on live TV after that interview.
They showed him at the end of the game. He was on the sideline, Arthur Blank style. He was getting in there. And then they kept on going to some Magic sound bites during the ownership. The Magic thing feels like they're pushing it a little too far.
Well, Magic's Magic. Magic Johnson.
Yeah. He's part owner too, right?
I mean, to be honest, we're talking about dysfunctional franchises. I mean, the 76ers would definitely have a case.
Oh, you mean just because their GM once got fired for having burner accounts and all sorts of stuff? But actually, you know what? I think I'm going to defend the Colts. I think that you are just too down. Because Irsay is wild on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah.
I do think, however, there's just a lot of good players on that team. There just are. There's just a lot of leftover good players. They could surprisingly be okay.
They've got a lot of work to do, but again, no expectations.
They have all pros all over the field. They have Quentin Nelson and Ryan Kelly on the O line. They have DeForest Buckner, who's an all pro. They have Shaq Leonard's coming back.
They had all those people last year.
Yeah, but no, they didn't. Most of them were hurt.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so they had guys either were playing last year or they're coming back from injury this year.
They're all coming back from injury. Shaq Leonard is basically reinventing himself physically. Yeah, it's going to be hard. But if they do all come together, they could. We're looking at 7 wins, Mag.
Is that the over? It probably would be, right?
They're like at 7.5. And listen, the AFC South is so easy. It's impossible to tank in that division. They have their quarterback. They're going to give full effort. They have some weapons. I think they're at least an interesting team despite this dysfunction.
Okay, and then what happened with the whale? So Jim Irsay was trying to save an orca whale that was trying to get back to its pod.
Sort of, but I'm not sure that it ever lived with its pod. It was trying to get from the southeast to the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, he said this on McAfee show where a killer whale named Lolita had been separated, I guess, from her pod. And they were it was going to cost like $20 million or something to get the whale across the country. How would you even transport a whale? Like, think about the logistics of that.
So, by the way,
kind of surprised it only cost $20 million. Anyway, sadly, the whale has died. Yes, Perloff.
So she was taken to captivity at the Miami Seaquarium in 1970. Like, she'd never really been part of that pod in the Pacific Northwest. So if they had somehow gotten her out there, I don't think she would have any idea what to do out there.
You can't.
1970.
It feels cruel to take an animal that was in captivity its entire life and then put it back in the wild, right?
53 years.
I know, isn't that ironically cruel? Probably should have never taken them in the first place from their home.
I know.
But now you did.
There's so many weird, and were the celebrities involved in this effort too?
I think so.
Like Sean Penn or somebody to that. Like a lot of people were in on this Lolita thing.
I'm sorry. Lolita was a different whale. This was
Lolita.
Tokate.
No, Tokate was like the nickname. Lolita, it's the same whale.
Oh, same whale? Okay.
I read all about this.
Yeah. Wait, who were the celebrities, Mike?
The nickname's Tokate, and it's okay. Whatever. I don't know anything about
oddly enough, Jim Irsay, in every interview I saw and everything about it, he would call her Lolita, and then after she passed, then he started calling her Toka. And I'm like, why did you switch your naming?
You think Jim Irsay is calling people the right names? You were giving Jim Irsay way too much credit, humans.
He's using the right names. Both names were correct, but it's like me calling Perloff for my entire life, and then one day I'm just like, hi, Andrew. Where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
Oh, here are some of the people who have tried to free Lolita over the years. Johnny Depp, Lindsay Lohan, Harrison Ford, Elton John, 50 Cent, Placido Domingo.
Why has it been so hard?
Wait,
Ron Howard.
Also, these are people who are richer than God. Why? How? If they've all failed, why would all of a sudden Jim Irsay be like, I can do it? If Placido Domingo couldn't do it, why couldn't you do it?
I don't know that it needed to be done.
I don't think it needed to be. Well, it's really sad that the whale died.
She got 53 good years, at least.
Is that a lot for a whale? Anybody? Anyone? Ackerman, you're a marine biologist.
If Placido Domingo is trying, why isn't Pavarotti? That's the real question. Where was Pavarotti in all this?
Yeah, and the other guy?
She's one of the oldest killer whales in captivity, 56. It was kind of a miracle.
Here's a question. How hard do you really think Lindsay Lohan was working to free the whale? Do you think she was really, on the front lines?
Do you really want Lindsay Lohan to help save your whale?
Lindsay, we got it. Stand down. Okay, coming up, which NFL coach claims he's not coaching scared? We've got that for you after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Flash.
Well, Todd Bowles has come to a decision to name the Bucs starting quarterback, and it is former top pick overall Baker Mayfield, who's looking to resurrect his career now with his fourth team. James Harden remains a Sixer, but right now a little lighter in the wallet for his recent remarks that GM Daryl Morey is a liar who was fined $100,000 by the league. Rays shortstop Wander Franco has gone from the restricted list to administrative leave amid investigations into alleged relationships with underage women. The Cubs' strong second half has not only put them in position for a wild card, but they still have a great chance to win the NL Central. They opened the day in Detroit, just 2.5 games back in the division. Seiya Suzuki sparked David Ross's team last night with a second homer in as many days and fourth in the last 10.
Seiya's been swinging the bat really well. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have him swing the bat that well. He's playing phenomenal and a big part of us, especially the bottom of that order. just keep turning it over. He swung the bat phenomenal.
The Mariners won their 7th straight and 70th of the season last night in Chicago and look to extend that streak this evening. They have a 1-game lead over Toronto for the final wild card. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Football season is almost here. From the college game to the NFL, no one has you covered like CBS Sports Radio. Find us 24/7 on your local Odyssey affiliate, SiriusXM Channel 158, streaming online or the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. It is Maggie and Perloff, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff across the country on CBS Sports Radio. Let's do our Cowboys Quickie. Well, this is new. Brandon Cooks, new member of the Dallas Cowboys, wide receiver, obviously, is a licensed pilot for Perloff. He's got his pilot's license.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. So according to several outlets here, as part of a bonding experience with teammates Micah Parsons and Stefon Gilmore, he took them up and flew around above Seattle in a small plane when they were up there for their preseason game against the Seahawks.
Okay. And
how is this allowed to happen? Like, I don't want to sound like alarmist here, but there are clauses in professional athletes' contracts that they can't, like, go skiing because it's too dangerous.
Right, because you could break a leg or you could tear an ACL.
I don't want to tell you what could happen if something went wrong in a plane.
Well, I think for a pass rusher, it's much riskier to go skiing and tear your ACL. Like, I assume that he's a good pilot and he wouldn't go up there. Like, it's not like they all crash or something.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you are trying to mitigate risk at all times when you're a professional athlete.
I think you're much more likely to break your leg or tear up your knee skiing than you are to die in a single engine plane.
Well, of course, statistically, I'm sure you're right about that. Yeah. But if I'm trying to take away as much risk as I can off the field, because playing football is risky enough, I'm probably saying, like, if you have a pilot's license, you can't take yourself and two of our other star players up for a joyride over Seattle when the season starts in a week. That's your Cowboy Quickie.
Let me ask you this question. Would you rather have Micah Parsons playing pickup basketball or flying with Brandon Cooks?
Well, probably flying with Brandon Cooks, but I actually probably don't want him doing either. Like, I know you're a licensed pilot, but I feel like it's a different type of situation where you're a licensed pilot versus, like, you're a pilot who flies all the time, like a commercial pilot.
I don't know.
Don't you think?
I don't know. I've flown a few times and I hated it every time I've been in one of these small planes. It's terrifying.
I know.
But I do feel like, people do it all the time. And just the fact that we're comparing to playing pickup basketball. And here's the thing, if it goes wrong in pickup basketball and they tear their ACL, then you still have to pay them for a year. If it goes wrong in the flight, you free up a lot of salary cap space.
You really are thinking like an owner. Good gosh.
Ouch.
Yeah. Ouch.
When I was in Europe, actually, I saw a lot of guys who were talking about
No, but I'm just saying it is kind of silly to me that we're comparing skiing, where they're really worried about the guy's ankle, to life and death situation with flying. But I am assuming this is not really a life and death situation. Okay. I looked at the plane; it looked totally solid. And these guys, to get a license, like, you got to know what you're doing. There's a lot of rich people who fly around all the time.
I know, but here's the thing. So if you say I got my pilot's license, and I was like, hey, let's go flying.
Yeah.
There's no chance you'd step in that plane with me.
Not you. No.
I know you. I'm not so good at math, guys. I might not be able to calculate.
Biking in the wine country, so you're not getting behind the wheel of a plane.
But if you were like
treacherous enough,
if you had flown for 5 years, I'd be fine.
You'd get in a plane with me if I had my pilot's license. If you had been flying
for 5 years, you had your pilot's license, and you're like a tech billionaire who's been flying around. Like, they all do that. In California, that's what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably get up with you. I'd go up for a joyride.
I wouldn't advise it. But again, that's just me. I wouldn't get in a plane, I don't think, with somebody who doesn't have, like, tons and tons and years. I don't know how long Brandon Cooks has had his pilot's license.
Well, I think that's
I'm
an
not trying to
important
disparage.
question.
It's not just about Brandon Cooks. Let me be clear about that. It's not him specifically. It'd be anybody. Anybody. I'm not going up for a joyride. Maybe I'm
really
just
not anybody. So wait, what about like right now? What if you were visiting someone?
If you had a pilot's license?
Forget me. Okay. No, not me. You are on vacation in LA and you have a friend of a friend who's like, I'm a pilot. Would you like me to fly up and I'll take you over SoFi Stadium? It'll be really cool.
No. No.
But people do that all the time.
I do, but that wouldn't be for me. If I was a professional athlete, I definitely wouldn't do it. But
would you take a helicopter?
No, never have, and I will not do that.
Do you know professional athletes, all professional athletes take helicopters all the time?
Well, Kobe, sadly,
yeah.
I mean, before he tragically passed away, he used to famously take a helicopter to every Laker game, right?
Yeah.
To not have to sit in traffic in LA.
Do you remember that little bit where I went up on a helicopter with Josh Jacobs the day before the draft?
How was that?
It was awesome. It was this military, it was this gigantic luxury helicopter.
Okay.
You have to understand, people are taking helicopters and flying little planes all over the place. It's not that risky. I think you're just a little scared of it.
There's nothing about going up in a helicopter. You guys done that? Samter, Stu, are you helicopter people?
No chance.
I'm not a helicopter person, but I've been in a helicopter before.
The Grand Canyon?
No, it was just one was in New Zealand and one, I forget where the other is. Somewhere around New York.
New Zealand. Who's bragging now?
Yeah, I know.
You're calling out Perloff for the European vacation.
When I was in New Zealand, I saw someone skiing wearing a shirt of my high school. Like, the hell's that all about?
And it turned out it was Micah Parsons.
Okay, so now I know why you're calling me out on Europe. You want to share these inane details about your New Zealand trip.
Yeah, this all has led to Samter telling us about New Zealand.
I got to tell you, helicopter flight and single-engine planes, that's very, very common.
Not for this gal. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, we will get to the latest from Robert Saleh, what he had to say about the plan for Aaron Rodgers moving forward. We've got that, plus an update from the Oregon State Athletic Director on the future of the Pac-12. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
There of 8 and 9-year-olds who their kids are hearing some terms for sexual acts and then came back to the parents and said, "What is this?"
Ooh, that's a tough one. My daughter's memorized about 15 Nicki Minaj songs.
Oh, boy.
So she knows a little more than I am. Sometimes I go to her with questions.
What is WAP?
You know, it's an interesting moment, and it's related. When your kid drops a curse word on you, my daughter, like 9, didn't like this teacher. My daughter's this cute little thing. She goes, "Bleeping Miss What's her name?" I was like, whoa.
Working blue. Wow.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff across the country, CBS Sports Radio. You want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Of course, on all of our amazing CBS Sports Radio affiliates, we say good day. Also, the Odyssey app, Sirius XM channel 158, and it goes on and on and on. Well, yesterday, you guys tried to bait me into a little bit of a hysteria.
Always fun.
About Stephen A. Smith coming up with a report that Stefon Diggs is unhappy in Buffalo. Because Stephen A's got sources, apparently, in Buffalo, and they say that Stefon Diggs is not happy. Because, as we know, Stephen A. owns Buffalo. Now, Diggs responded on Twitter, 100% not true. I don't know who the source is, but I thought I'd nip this bleep in the bud already. I'm rocking with my dogs, Bills Mafia, through and through. Now, the question off of that is, do you actually believe him? And, you know, listen, Stephen A. is fun to poke fun at because he's larger than life in this sort of caricature. But the dude was a reporter, and that's how he came up in the industry.
Yep.
And so I doubt he would say I have sources and it's totally false. Like Stephen A. Smith doesn't make up stuff.
He was more of a, I followed him. He was in the Philadelphia Inquirer. He was more of a columnist, like an op-ed guy, like Le Batard was too. But yeah, I don't know. He did have LeBron, by the way, in 2010. He knew where he was going before anyone. The way he said this, we all knew that Stefon Diggs seemed unhappy in Buffalo.
Yeah, you don't have to be like, you don't need Sherlock
insight.
Holmes for this one.
He left camp.
Yeah.
So,
and the team called it like they were worried.
So to me, it feels like there's a whole gray area here anyway. So I don't really believe that Stephen A. got anything that groundbreaking, and I don't really believe Stefon Diggs when he says it's 100%. I do think that there's some smoke here.
Yep.
That he's unhappy. Like, also, he's a wide receiver. They often tend to be unhappy. And Stefon Diggs, throughout his career, seemed like a malcontent. So I think you could put 2 and 2 together. Just because he said it's 100% not true, I don't really buy that.
Well, I still maintain that I don't care. Because as long as you're going to show up to work, then I don't care if you're unhappy. I don't care if you love where you work. Not everyone loves what they do for, a living, but you can still show up and you can still be enthusiastic about it, even if you don't love it or love your coworkers or teammates or whatever. Samter's looking at me funny.
You looked right at me as soon as
I did? No. Oh, you want to know why? I promise you, this is it. Nick wrote in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, our friend Nick in Texas, where's the whiteboard, the Maggie meter?
Yeah, actually, I was wondering that too.
So I looked at Samter because I'm like, can I tell Samter go get the Maggie meter and bring it in the middle of the segment, which he's going to go do now. Okay.
So the question is, how many days since we've had Maggie have a Bills meltdown? So, okay, you're not melting down about Stefon Diggs.
I'm cool as a cucumber over this Diggs thing.
What about when
if they lose to the Jets week 1?
When it was day 1 of training camp and he went home? Did that bother you?
Yes.
But
we had not started the meter yet.
So, all right, but you also, it sounds like you believe that he wants out of Buffalo. Big picture, not right this second.
As long as he's around for this season, can be focused and be a professional, which I have no reason to think he won't. Well, I guess I have a little reason because he left training camp, but I still think that he can be dialed in on this season. And then what happens after the season, you address it after the season.
What about when in the playoff game when he was yelling at Josh Allen?
I don't mind that.
Really? Oh, God, I mind that so much.
Here's the thing. First of all, sometimes, thank you, Samter's bringing in the whiteboard right now, days since Maggie has had a Bills meltdown, 1, because we started this yesterday.
Yeah.
So I don't mind that because sometimes it looks a lot worse than it is. There was a very famous clip once of Des Bryant, and it looked like he was screaming at Tony Romo on the sideline, and then NFL Films gave you the audio, and it wasn't nearly anything that it looked like. So I don't like to judge just by the look. Secondly,
get out of here. First of all, get out of here with that. He was clearly yelling at Josh Allen for not throwing the ball.
Okay, well,
there's no other interpretation
of that. As you said, wide receivers, they're always upset. They always want the ball more. But here's the thing. I'm not worried about this because I watched Tom Brady scream at offensive coordinators and his offense coordinators scream at him. Yeah. I've watched NFL Films where Peyton Manning and Jeff Saturday are screaming at each other in the middle of a game. I think stuff happens in the middle of the game. I'm not going to judge somebody off of that because the tension is just really high.
Wide receivers have to be professionals. Every wide receiver thinks he's open, but they don't see what the quarterback is under pressure because they're running downfield.
Sure.
So a wide receiver yelling at his quarterback during the game is the stupidest thing I ever saw. There's no way you're going to help the quarterback play better and inspire confidence. So to me, it's unprofessional.
It's just emotional is what it is. And you probably should be yelling at the offensive line.
Honestly,
yes, I get it.
Think of the great teams. I know that Tom Brady and Bill O'Brien yelled at each other, but you think that Brady and his receivers were screaming at each other on the sideline? They were on the same page. They were working together to make each other better. There's so many clips where Brady's like, I missed you, dog, or he wouldn't say dog. Sorry, Stefon Diggs said dog here. Yeah. But he said, I missed you, or the receivers say, oh, man, I screwed up this route. Like, that's what great teams, I feel like there's an element of teamwork that I don't really necessarily. I mean, I don't know Steph Diggs. Maybe he is a great teammate, but everything I see so far, it seems like he's on a different page than his teammates.
Well, listen, so far, I don't think that that Steph Diggs being upset about not getting the ball, I don't think that's the reason why the Bills haven't won a Super Bowl yet. Like, there's a lot of reasons why they've had very high expectations and fell short of them, and I don't think Steph Diggs' attitude is one of them.
Well, it feels like you need a team that everyone's pulling in the same direction to win a Super Bowl. It's just the number one prerequisite thing.
I get it, but I don't think wanting the ball and yelling in a playoff game where everything's going off the rails, like everything. Yeah, you're not helping the matter at that point, but that's not the reason they lost to the Bengals. They lost to the Bengals for a lot of reasons. They look terrible, and now people aren't talking about the Bills as much. And so here comes the Stephen A. Smith report here. It never got me that upset. It never got my blood boiling at all. And as long as he is healthy and engaged, that's all I care about. He and Josh can yell at each other. I don't care.
It hasn't gotten this far yet, but it reminds me a little of a couple of the Odell Beckham situations where Odell was starting to fissure from his teammates both times. I think One, he was sick of Eli. I don't remember what happened.
He
in New
did
York.
a sit-down interview
with Lil Wayne,
with Lil Wayne and Josina Anderson.
And why did he want out of New York?
Well, he just wasn't sure that Eli was the guy, which is, by the way, this was Eli Manning at the end of his career, and everyone in New York was saying that at the time.
Okay, and then he accurately had his dad cut a video of Baker Mayfield, who was injured at the time, missing him on all these plays.
Yeah. And what happened? He got to the Rams, they won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know. But listen, that was not good for either of those teams. And by the way, receivers should love Eli. Eli is a gift to all receivers out there. Why do you think Odell Beckham...
We're going to relitigate that.
Where do you think Odell made all his money? Because Eli was throwing those soft passes to him that were either intercepted or Odell caught them.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, Odell has done really nothing since those 2 or 3 years with the Giants. I mean, he was good with the Rams, but I wouldn't say he was a major impact on that team.
I thought he was really good until he got hurt, obviously, in the Super Bowl. So, okay, there you have it. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, days since Maggie's had a Bills meltdown is 1. So there you go, Nick. No Samter. I was not looking at you when I was saying people don't have to like who they work with in order to work well together.
I mean, I like you too. I'm not going to say if there's a fourth person in the room that I don't particularly like, but you guys right? I like a lot.
Stu? Yeah. All right. Odell's 27 catches in 8 games for the Rams.
Right, because he got there with like 5 games to go, didn't he? When was
Played
he
8
traded?
games.
8 games, okay.
Yeah, he only had 27 catches.
But in the playoffs, he had...
Yeah, but they were going to throw it to somebody there. Sean McVay was on fire with the play calling.
Somebody.
I don't know. I just catches and 300 yards in 4 games.
I don't know.
He was amazing.
I don't want unhappy wide receivers. I just feel like you could get a wide receiver anywhere. Well, it's not worth it. Even Diggs, by the way, who's great, and he sort of helped Josh Allen become Josh Allen.
Definitely.
You just said it yourself. Give him one, as long as he's good this year, it doesn't seem like you're concerned about having him in 2 years. Because you know you can get another guy.
Well, it's not about knowing you can get another guy. It's just, I think you're right. He was so impactful for Allen's development when Allen was a really inaccurate passer. Now you can say, the red zone turnovers, all that stuff. But, I think Allen's grown as a quarterback. Yeah. So, maybe, but listen, I still want him on the team. But let's just get through this season. And then you can reevaluate and reassess. But to your point about about wide receivers, you made this point a while ago about just wait. Wide receivers is going to be the next position that's going to be like running backs, where the supply of great wide receivers is going to outweigh the demand for great wide receivers, and their salaries are going to go down.
Yeah, I mean, receivers are better than ever. It's crazy. I think it's partly 7-on-7, and the way people are being trained now, they're just so crazy. Good look at these rookies, Maggie. They look like they're all ready to be Pro Bowlers.
Honestly, I thought you were crazy when you said that, and I still think there's part of you that's crazy because a great wide receiver just helps everything in the offense go. But I get what you're saying. I'm watching these rookies, like we're watching Zay Flowers last night, and that's just one of the guys. I mean, it's like every class has 5 guys that end up being good. Although, unfortunately, you saw Jackson Smith-Njigba from Ohio State, who was drafted by the Seattle Seahawks in the first round, had to have wrist surgery today. But he is, I guess, they're optimistic that he may not miss any time, which is crazy considering the season starts in a couple weeks.
Look at this. Last year's rookie class, Drake London went number 1. We don't really know the USC guy for the Falcons, but you had Garrett Wilson, great. Chris Olave, probably great. Jamison Williams, I wouldn't bet on him. There you go. You got,
too soon.
But you just mentioned Jahan Dotson, or you mentioned him earlier in the show. Looks great. Treylon Burks, he's a bit of a project. Christian Watson is going to be really good. John Mechie's having a great camp. George Pickens out of Pittsburgh. Alex Pierce on Indianapolis looks good. Sky Moore on Kansas City. There's 14 impactful guys as rookies.
I know.
So why are you going to pay these guys?
I think I thought you were crazy at the time, like I said, but I think you're onto something.
Ooh, wait till next year too, when Marvin Harrison Jr. is sitting there in the draft.
There are going to be people.
He'd be a good replacement for Steph Diggs.
There's no chance. If the Bills have a draft pick high enough to get Marvin Harrison Jr., that means everyone's getting fired. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in on that. Got a lot more to do, including, one team finally names a starter. Get to that. So much more to do. Glad you're with us. It is Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Who's this? Should I know this artist?
Yeah, it's this, who is this? Weekend?
Yep, The Weeknd.
Oh, no, I don't know much about The Weeknd. I know that Yeah, he played halftime in the Super Bowl. Oh,
Yeah.
Are you into
Guys,
the weekend?
it's okay. Perloff is just playing hurt today.
Yeah.
You can say it.
Oh, because I'm jet lagged?
And why would you be jet lagged?
Because I just got back from Europe.
Europe trip.
So I got back Sunday night at 11. And when am I supposed to feel like myself, Maggie? You gave me some math earlier.
I thought it's supposed to be like a half day for every day you were on vacation. That sounds too long. You should be better by now.
But it's really easy when you go on the way out west to L.A. It's brutal.
Oh, I love going when we go to the West Coast. It's my favorite trips because I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I feel like $1 million. You know, it's like, oh, I'm up early, get stuff done.
And then when you get back, you pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just
the West Coast is just better.
Something's wrong.
We know
I just got a Charlie horse mid-segment when we were talking about Steph Diggs. All of a sudden, I felt a severe pain in my hamstring. I always thought I'm like, did I just injure my hamstring sitting here?
That would be a new low.
I sort of turned a little bit. I think I might have. I don't know what's going on. This is not good.
If you hurt yourself sitting in a chair, that's like one of those things like when baseball players get hurt with random injuries that no one believes, like David Cohn got, bit by a dog or something, like sure.
Or like a lot of people hurt their midsection or their back when they sneeze.
Yeah, right.
That's not good. You ever get Charlie horses?
Like cramps?
Severe cramps when like you're lying down in bed or something?
I have gotten them before, and they're awful.
They're the
Remember
worst.
LeBron James got them in the finals when it was like too hot in San Antonio in the arena?
Yeah.
The air conditioning went on.
Me and LeBron James, same.
Working hard. He puts $1 million a year into his body. How much do you put in?
$150. I casually jogged 2.5 miles.
Well, also tweeting.
Yeah. I mean, if I got injured just sitting here, that would not be good. I would make up something. Be like, I was playing pickup basketball after the show.
Yeah. That means probably that whole thumb injury that you had or whatever was probably fake.
Look at my pinkies.
Oh,
you
sorry,
can't see
the pinky. It was the
look at
pinky.
these pinkies. I look like, and by the way, still injured. Maggie,
Perloff
you
is
sit next to
the Ronnie lot of this show.
You sit next to a warrior. Just get used to it.
I know. Okay, so there was a decision made in the NFL. To me, this doesn't feel like it's going to be that impactful because I don't think it matters who the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is this year. Like, I realized this was a Super Bowl team a couple years ago, but you made a big change when you took out Tom Brady and now Baker Mayfield has been declared the starter. I don't see the Bucs as like a sneaky sleeper or anything. I think the Bucs are going to be an also-ran. I think they're going to be not interesting and not that remarkable this year until they move on and find an actual quarterback.
Yeah, I don't like the coach.
Yeah, well, Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator, who's been a great defensive coordinator, but so far has not been, an awesome head coach.
They do have sort of an easy schedule, so they're gonna get some W's, just sort of trip into some.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, you look at their talent, like, their offensive line is legit. Look at this offensive line. Tristan Wirfs, left tackle, former first-round pick. He's really, really good. Ryan Jensen's back. Then everybody else is kind of hurt. I'm already looking at this.
Yeah, exactly.
But they still have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and they have Vita Vea still there. Like, there's players from that Super Bowl team, the bones of that Super Bowl team. So you can't totally write them off.
I really have. I mean, I'm not expecting a lot. And the Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask quarterback situation was one that I just didn't really care about the outcome. Now, if you're asking me, am I still interested about what Tom Brady's going to do? I am, because Brady's out here, tweeting thirst trap after thirst trap photo of himself, shirtless, all this stuff, promoting whatever, TB12, looking for a training camp to go to, he says, like joking around about how good he feels because he's using his TB12 products or whatever. Like, that to me, I still haven't closed the book on. That's much more interesting to see whether Brady actually takes a snap this year than whether or not the Bucs are going to be any good.
You got curious to see Baker Mayfield under center? I
was curious last year when Baker Mayfield, to his credit, pulled off an all-time move, which is learning the playbook on a flight from Cleveland to L.A.
Yeah.
And was able to win a game on Thursday. Was it Thursday Night Football, right? Thursday Night Football, I believe, with the Rams.
I'm really curious to see what happens here. I mean, listen, I understand what you're saying. Baker Mayfield's been disappointing, but this is it's really set up well for him. And throw to Mike Evans, I could throw to Mike Evans. If Mike Evans is engaged, and so last year he seemed like his head wasn't in it. I don't know. I just would like to see what's going to happen here. I don't know why there's nothing that Tom Brady can do to convince you that he's done playing football.
No, definitely not.
I mean, honestly, like until he dies, he's basically going to be coming back for you. I don't understand. There's nothing. His offseason has been every possible message has been, I'm done. Everything he said or done has said, I'm done.
Okay, except for when he's tweeting out, hey, it's late August, makes me want to look for a training camp to join.
To me, that actually says, I'm done. If he was serious about joining a training camp, he's not going to tweet that.
Wait, Stu, was that Rams game? Was it against the Raiders?
The first Mayfield game, yeah.
Yeah, that Mayfield game.
Yeah, they had a hell of a season last year between Baker and Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, they lose Jeff Saturday's inaugural, his debut as a head coach, and then they lost with Baker Mayfield learning the playbook on the plane. That was rough, dude.
You're telling me.
Good luck, Jimmy G. I still have the Devontae Adams going to ask for a trade before that Monday night game. That's the call I've made this year, yes.
I think the Bucs are going to get some wins here. And how many do you need to win that division?
9.
9. So, obviously the Saints are pretty heavy favorites, but I feel like Atlanta and Tampa Bay are going to be heard from. Because you're going to get easy wins over Carolina. They have the Texans on their schedule. They have the Vikings. We don't know what they're going to be. They have the Colts. I'm telling you, the Bucs are going to trip into some W's here. They get the AFC South. The NFC East swept the AFC South last year. I totally know what you're saying. Like, it doesn't feel like the whole organization has any momentum whatsoever.
No.
But they have talent and an easy schedule, which will make them 8 and 9.
Wait,
that's probably not interesting to you.
Can you look up, do the Bucs have a Thursday night game? Because we saw this story about how Amazon is going to be using AI, like artificial intelligence, on their broadcast to say whether a team should go for it on 4th down or whether they shouldn't go for it on 4th down. Like, what are the probabilities, odds, all that stuff. I mean, a Todd Bowles coach team,
Maggie, you're going to love this,
is not going for it on 4th down. Like, this, the AI machine would break if Todd Bowles was coaching the team. What did they play the Bills?
So the Bucs, the Bucs do have one primetime Thursday night Amazon Prime game. That is Thursday, October 26th. In Buffalo.
Yeah, I was like, it rang a bell. It rang a bell.
Of course it does.
Yeah. Oh, man. If the Bills lose because Bowles went for it on 4th down because the AI told him to, then I'll really be eating my words.
When's AI going to start actually coaching? Forget about telling the fans what to do.
Computer
AI,
coach?
This is an example of AI.
Isn't that basically Belichick?
Quote-unquote AI, that's just fancy Google, just like ChatGPT. There's no real AI that's going to tell anybody to go for it.
Yeah, it's just like whatever analytic model.
It's like standard analytics.
Yeah.
Like, this is so stupid.
No, I think the AI is going to take that coach's history and their tendencies, plus the statistics and all the different analytics, and put it all together and say, this guy's going to go for it or he shouldn't or should not.
And why is that artificial intelligence? I'm just curious, and not just a computer program?
Yeah, it's just like an algorithm. They're calling it AI.
What AI is at this point. It's just really sophisticated computer programs that kind of like take all these different sources and put them all together.
Sounds a lot like ESPN's win probability ranking.
Yeah, don't.
It's a nothing burger. If there ever was
don't use that to live bet, everybody.
It's a total nothing burger.
So, oh man, yeah. So that's going to be the new thing. Samter, you got me thinking about that. Could you have a coach that's all just artificial intelligence? Because even if it's artificial intelligence, they can even do the rah-rah speech.
Oh, they can absolutely do a rah-rah speech.
Right. You can completely aggregate that.
Todd Bowles can't do a rah-rah speech. I'm sure that AI can do a better job than Todd Bowles.
He's actually played the game and coach and still can't do the speech. Yet the computer could do it. Which owner is going to get so fed up? Because here's the thing, you pay him less. You know who I could see doing it? Our friend Tony Khan and Shad Khan. They're so on the cutting edge of all this stats and analytics stuff.
Oh, yeah. Tony Khan is so on the cutting edge of promoting his wrestling product at 97 hours a day that he's really going to use AI.
But he's like, he created like this stats website that everyone uses. And I forgot what it's called right now. But anyway, I could see them replacing Doug Peterson with a computer.
I could see them on 4th down being like calling down into the coach's headset, hey, guess who's wrestling on Wednesday night?
Hey,
That is Tony
Can you
Khan's
find
jam.
a way to get in, sneak in the Dusty Rhodes promo?
Yeah.
Sorry, Dusty's not a part of them anymore. Cody Rhodes, sorry. Cody.
Is that Dusty Rhodes' son?
Yeah, he's not part of the promotion anymore, though. He left.
Yeah, no, I honestly, you have two good points there. Todd Bowles does not care what any analytics says. There's nowhere he can't punt from. and also, too, I just think this whole Amazon...
Something to put on your resume.
I just find the one and Todd Bowles punting.
You guys don't find it annoying
Punts on
them
first
calling
down.
that AI, right? Like AI, this fourth down probability. Like that doesn't annoy anybody besides me.
I mean, it makes us roll our eyes.
Yeah, okay. Amazon does a lot of things that make you roll your eyes.
Yeah, but don't say anything about them. You'll never get your packages.
Like, I love Tony Romo, but part of what got him so good was that he was predicting calls and plays and, like, where he was going to go with the ball and what play they were going to run. If AI is starting to predict everything that's going to happen, like who's going to go for what on fourth down, what play is going to be run, I feel like fans are going to kind of find
No, they're not going to predict what they're going to do. They're going to say what they should do.
Right. It'd be what they should do.
That's even better.
Or
that way it gives you more opportunity to second guess your own coach.
Yeah, but you could maybe.
Yeah, but you could do that now.
Yeah, but now you have like computers behind it and analytics coming right in your face. Not like you just saying, "Hey, this is what I would have done." This is what.
But they're not real analytics, are they?
I think, yeah, of course. Why not?
And writing papers, they're doing speeches, politicians are using it.
You could also do what you think they're going to call because you could just look at all the trends from the team. Like you're going to have everything at your disposal. So yeah.
Wasn't there a football league where like the fans got to call in plays?
Yes. What Johnny Manziel was on that league, I think.
Yeah.
For a second.
But like right now, and even last year, they would give like the odds saying this coach goes for it this percentage of time. Like you already have those percentages. They're not saying you don't need an artificial intelligence computer to do that. Whatever. I'm obviously losing.
You're on
this
your
battle.
soapbox. Stu, what was it called?
It was called fan-controlled football.
Yeah.
I mean, what a colossally stupid idea. Fan-controlled football was really, I mean, listen, I'm an outside the box. I like to think all ideas are welcome, no bad ideas.
Lasted 2 seasons.
Did it?
2021 and 2022.
Was I right that Manziel was part of it? So I think somebody.
I do remember Manziel being a part of it.
Yeah.
Maybe T.O. or Michael Vick or something.
Yep. Yeah.
Sounds like Antonio Brown should have been involved in it. Maybe he was. What was his team? Albany?
He just got arrested again, I think.
Did he?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Sorry. One more thing about. I'm sorry. I do not want to say anything wrong about the most powerful country.
I don't want to make an enemy out of Amazon. I got the Garden against me. That's enough.
Just the fact that they have Richard Sherman, who hates Thursday Night Football, being their Thursday Night Football analyst has always bothered me to some extent. And I like the product on Thursday night; it's great. But they do have some hypocrisies.
Yes.
I do love that they are the ones who came up with AEW, the speed limit on the guy, not the speed limit, how many miles an hour the guy is running.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So that's good.
That's good because it's actual information. It's not a made up stat. This is not real AI that's like crunching any real numbers here. You guys know that. I'm sorry.
You don't think the analytics in football is real numbers?
Oh, it totally is. And the teams, whatever they're going to show on Thursday night, is going to be
that's not real.
That's going to be ESPN's win probability dressed up.
Got it.
Do you don't like when you see that, I don't know, Raheem Mostert was running 24 miles an hour?
Yeah, but to me it's a little like launch angle. Like, I don't know. I know they're all running fast. I don't know what that does for me.
I love when they say how fast the ball was coming off the bat.
Yeah, like Giancarlo Stanton, he's the king of this. It's like, man, that came off the bat. Who cares? Whether it's a wall scraper or whether it lands in McCovey Cove, it's all a home run.
Oh, man. I totally care about that. Like Ellie De La Cruz.
You care?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Ellie De La Cruz's exit velocity is the best thing in the world.
What does exit velo do for you?
It means that he hit the crap out of the ball.
I knew that without having the nerds have to tell me that. That's the only, that's the one thing I do know.
You don't need to know Tyreek Hill was running 27 miles an hour down the field?
No, and I don't need to know that Daniel Jones was running 20 miles an hour when he got the turf monster.
I was so into that stat, that Daniel Jones was running 20 miles an hour. Did that make you look at Daniel Jones completely differently?
Well, a little. I was like, man, he's like the fastest guy in the league. How is that possible?
I changed my whole tune on Daniel Jones because of that one stat.
You know, I kind of feel like that's got to be made up. It's like the radar. It's like the 40 times at the combine. You say those are all fakakta.
No, I never said that.
You have said that in the past.
I said the 40 times
You're
at
like,
the combine.
they're running so fast at the combine, these times can't be real.
That
you
is
literally said that in March.
Oh, okay. Well, I do think last year they had a fast track, which was confirmed. That that basically everyone was getting a 4.2. Like, oh, okay, they did something here, and they changed the field, so they were running down.
You thought there was shenanigans.
Yeah, they were running downhill or something, and the Rich Eisen and
downhill.
I don't know. Jeremiah. I don't. Rich Eisen and Jeremiah explained it like 10 times. They're like they changed the way the track is, so the times are just a little bit better. But I do think when you computer time a 40, it's accurate. When you're at a pro day and you're running a 40,
well, that's
just a lie.
Old guy sitting there in the lawn chair with this.
Hey, did he start yet? Yeah, hand time 40s. But generally, it's funny. We disagree on certain things that are real, not real. So you're into the AI on fourth down.
Yeah.
I'm into the clock on the guy running downfield. That's got to be accurate.
Do you also like when like a human races an animal? That tickled Ack.
Do they do that anymore? Yeah. I'd like to see more of that.
Didn't Tyreek Hill race a cheetah or something? He raced somebody.
It was a virtual. I'm sure.
It was virtual.
Yeah, that's not a real.
They do race horses.
AI.
Yeah, in the 1930s. Yeah, but when's the last time they did that?
I'm sure somebody has to have done it in the last 10 to 15 years. I don't know who, but I'm sure it has happened.
I know the AI, speaking of AI, remember someone raced a shark like Michael Phelps something, but it was a virtual shark. It wasn't real.
Yeah, very disappointing.
The stakes got much lower.
They promoted it as if it was.
And then it wasn't.
Yeah, that's what this AI on fourth down. It's Michael Phelps racing a shark. It's fake.
And the shark won by at least 2 seconds.
How embarrassing for him. 855-212-4CBS.
They do this thing at the combine where you'll have a guy running, then they'll superimpose other words.
Yeah.
And it's fun when they do a slow guy because you see this guy starts out and then they show, here's Tyreek Hill, and he runs past him. But, all right, so honestly, I don't believe AI has anything to do with football, but I think clocking a runner is the most important thing that science can do for us. And we just disagree.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, superstar gets a little taste of his own medicine. Get to that right after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Rich Hackman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
Oh, it's never easy replacing a legend, but that is what Baker Mayfield is facing after he was named the Bucs starting quarterback as he tries to resurrect his career, now with the Buccaneers, succeeding Tom Brady. The NBA has reportedly fined James Harden $100,000 for his recent comments in which he called Daryl Morey a liar and requested a trade publicly. Rays All-Star Wander Franco is now on administrative leave. He had been on the restricted list following allegations of relationships with underage women. The Texas Rangers have been one of the big surprises of the season, but have fallen on hard times recently with 5 straight losses. After bulking up their pitching staff at the trade deadline, their offense is now floundering with 3 runs or less in 4 of those last 5. After dropping the series opener to the Diamondbacks, manager Bruce Bochy lamented his team's struggles.
We had some guys a little cold, to be honest. I think that's fair to say. We had some chances. We left a couple runners out there stranded with runners on third, less than 2 outs, but they pitch well, too.
It won't get much easier tonight with his team facing Cy Young candidate Zach Gallen in Game 2 of the series. John Gray starts with the AL West leaders. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, it's DA. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Show. I was just lamenting to Perloff in the break that I think a lot of parents can probably commiserate with me on this one. My kid has come to the age where he knows every stall tactic at bedtime. Every single one. It's like, read a story. It's like, I'm hungry. Like, all right, you can't, what are you going to deny your kid food? You know? So, of course, give him food. I'm hungry. And then we'd be laying in bed, just about to fall asleep and go, I got to go to the potty. It's like, oh, gosh. He knows we can't say no. So we're not going to deprive him of food, and because we just taught him to be potty trained like last year, so we can't say no to the bathroom.
But did he already brush his teeth?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bummer.
You got to do it again. It's so annoying. He knows he knows our whole perimeter. testing all the security points of bedtime.
I would say 75% of my social media activity was lying in bed with my daughter earlier in her life, waiting for her to go to sleep.
I can't do it because the light, it's too bright.
I tell her to suck it up. She's like, Daddy, can you turn your phone off so I can lie down? I'm like, listen, you have two choices. Either I leave and you sit here alone in the dark with the monsters, or I sit here and I read Instagram. Which one do you want? It's like, okay, Daddy.
Whoa, Perloff, way to go. Man,
That's funny. You knew about the light being bright because that's happened.
Definitely. The light's too bright from the Apple Watch, let alone the phone.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
I'm sorry, Perloff, you were about to say.
Speaking of lights, there's this thing where if you turn on the air conditioner in our room or you change the temperature, the light goes on a little monitor that does it. Something changed and it stays on for 4 minutes and it's blaringly bright. So in the middle of the night, I want to turn the temperature off. The whole room lights up for like 5 minutes at like 2 a.m. And my wife and I are just staring like, do you think it's going to go off soon? And we don't know how to adjust the setting at all. So the light at night, I don't know if you have little things like that keep you up, but it's the worst.
Living in hell. The shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. Today's shot of the day comes from... earlier in the show, our pal Ryan in California called in and was bummed because we haven't taken him up on his wine tasting tour yet.
I think the whole industry and everybody who says that they're good at tasting wine is lying. I think it's the biggest mass lie.
It's all perpetrated by big wine.
In the history of mankind, there's no bigger lie than people can tell which wine is good.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I love people who are like, I'm just tasting and spitting out and like, I'm not here to get loaded. Get out of here.
Wineries are the scenes of so many crimes. People get sloppy at wineries. Like dress over your head type stuff. Once my husband and I, we were still dating, went to wine country, but took bikes.
I just had this image of you behind, following your husband on a bike, just veering off slowly into the right, tipping over, and just like, Maggie's asleep on the sidewalk.
I'm not much of a camper, but that would probably be the time you could get me to sleep outside.
Yeah,
falling off a bike,
camping, same.
Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. This is Bruin. James is calling from California. Hey, James, how are you?
Hey, good afternoon. Go Bruins.
There you go. How you doing?
I'm good. I just called and just wanted to let you know if this whole thing goes with the Gruden and against the NFL, is he going to be the new commissioner of the NFL and part owner of the NFL?
Yeah.
Because from what I hear, he has them over the barrel pretty good, and he said that no check will suffice. And then from what I understand from reading the ESPN, like I say that, it's pretty scary for the NFL from what I hear.
Yeah, interesting, James. Thanks so much for the call. This was a story that came out in mid-July where ESPN did this massive, deep dive, another one, into Daniel Snyder selling the Commanders and everything that went down with the Gruden leaked emails. And Gruden is continuing this fight in civil court. Like James said, he's not taking any settlements, no money. He wants to get to the bottom of who leaked the emails.
Mm-hmm.
And the emails that, where he said things that were racially, that were racist against DeMaurice Smith, homophobic emails, terrible stuff. It's the reason why he's not the Raiders coach anymore. So the ESPN article was basically like a game of Clue where they had 5 different people who had a motive to leak the emails. And Gruden is really trying to get to the bottom of it. I don't think is he going to get the last laugh? I don't know. I have no idea. I doubt it.
Isn't the implication that it all comes back to Roger Goodell? Even if it's somebody underneath him, it's sort of the league's sort of desire to get him out of there and kind of Goodell's office. Even if it wasn't Goodell himself, it's Goodell's fault.
Yeah, well, Goodell and Gruden had a big grudge.
Yeah, Gruden did not like Goodell.
And vice versa. They had a terrible relationship. And so that Gruden feels like it was Goodell who tried to leak the emails to get him removed from the league.
Well, it's funny if John Gruden, time heals all wounds in the sense, and he's back consulting with the Saints. He probably, if he kept his mouth shut, would get back into the NFL sooner. I mean,
you think so?
I don't know. Everybody gets back.
No, I know we are
back. Everybody got back.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's like yeah, but
maybe not Gruden. He might not have.
I think he's still pretty toxic. Those
But
emails.
it's already, and it hasn't even been that long. What's the difference between consultant and then one day he's a quarterback coach and 2 years later he's an OC?
Well, here's the thing, though. You're a consultant. You're not spokesperson for the team, which is what you are when you're a coach.
Yeah, I know.
You're
but
the face of the
but
team.
when you guys overcome scandal, they sort of slowly work their way back in.
Yeah. Is John Gruden ever going to...
I mean, I think it's unlikely, but I think he's hurting himself if he really does want. I mean, at least he'd be, I don't know, an offensive coach of some sort someday. I mean, what else does John Gruden know how to do?
Yeah, I know. Nothing. The other thing, though, is, like, could you just wait out Goodell? I don't know if it matters. I think Gruden is permanently stained here. Now, here's the thing. That doesn't mean he can't take everyone else down with him. And that would be interesting because this whole time we've thought Dan Snyder, maybe Gruden, who knows, like people had dirt on Goodell, right? Remember Snyder was getting the dossiers of everybody? It was like, this is like a Russian spy novel. Anyway, they're getting dossiers on Gruden, on Goodell that were going to be embarrassing if they came.
I feel like the dossier time has passed. Now that versus on TV owning the Commanders.
That's true.
I feel like if Snyder was going to drop that bomb, he would have already. Yeah, I'm so disappointed, by the way. I wanted to see that dossier desperately.
Me too, just because I love gossip. But
especially, you know that these owners have been doing something. There's things we probably have no idea about that are really wild.
I think it's hard to get that rich without doing something.
Yeah, and then once you're that rich, I mean, you probably get bored and break some laws or something.
You get bored, so you're going to go break some laws.
I don't know. I feel like those owners, they have like competitive, who could get a bigger yacht. They do all sorts of stupid stuff. You know, not to name names, but I've heard with Jerry Jones and Daniel Snyder that just got like ordering crazy amounts of bottles of wine and just like this just got totally wild. In the sense, not like wild, illegal wild, but just that those guys live a big life. And I just named names.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, who were you protecting in that story? You named Jerry Jones and Daniel Snyder, who didn't make the cut. Like, John Bon Jovi? Like, who else was at the party?
As you know, they're not at home watching TV. They are out spending their money and being visible and doing rich people things.
You know, did you notice that, and this is a little bit of a deep cut here, but Peter King, friend of the show, Football Morning in America, had the quotes from Jerry Jones yesterday that we had told you about, where I said, and I thought confirmed what I always knew, which is that Jerry Jones is kind of content with being relevant and having his franchise be the most lucrative and having the most power of any owner in the league, and that winning a Super Bowl really is secondary. I do think that. And he said to Peter King, hey, like, look at all the things we've done. Just because we haven't won a Super Bowl doesn't mean all that's meaningless. Peter also described Jerry in his column as like looking very old.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's like the years have kind of caught up to Jerry in so many words.
Well,
he's
first
80.
of all, Jerry's on TV literally 7 days a week. He was on NFL Network 8 minutes ago. I'm not sure we see him all the time. I don't think he looks that different now than he's ever looked. I guess in person, Peter was describing. I mean, I don't know. It feels kind of mean to write in a column.
Well, I don't know. It's also just sort of your observation.
I don't know. But actually, Jerry's definitely 80, and you can see it, but he still seems as Jerry as ever. Seems sharp to me. Yeah. I watched an interview with him on the NFL Network the other day. He literally is. He's the single best interview. First of all, he dominated the two guys that were around him.
Oh, I'm sure.
Took
He
the narrative
bulldozes
over.
everybody.
Said about 14 of the most interesting things I've ever heard an owner say.
Yeah.
Like life philosophies and things. Like I don't buy that Jerry's losing any of his fastball. Sorry, Peter. I totally know what you're saying.
No, he said he still has like this love of the game. It wasn't that. It was just like that the years had sort of come up to him. So here's the other thing we have to predict now. And something's probably going to happen in the next 24 hours. So James Harden was fined $100,000 by the NBA because when he said Daryl Morey is a liar, and we called out Daryl Morey at a children's basketball camp in China, of all places, he said, I'll never play for a team that's associated with Daryl Morey. And according to the NBA, that's a bridge too far. you can demand a trade, but you can't say I'm not going to play for somebody, right? That got James Harden fined $100,000.
That's weird to me.
But here's the question.
Yeah.
Harden's got to have a move now. Like, what's his next move?
Nothing.
Because he's been on this trade me tour.
There's no move from either Harden or the Sixers. Nothing's going to happen here.
So remember how awkward it got when Ben Simmons showed up to the 76ers and he had the cell phone in the pocket, waiting for his agent to call with a trade, and it never happened for months?
So that kind of move, is that what you're talking about?
I mean, I think we're going to hear something from Harden even then, because $100,000 is really not much to him, and I don't think he cares about incurring fines like that.
No, I know, but I don't think anyone's going to trade for him. So that's off the table. Honestly, I think people are going to be like, it's going to get to the point where no one's going to care about James Harden. I think he could show up in sweatpants and keys. I'm going to be like, you know what? You stink anyway. I really maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sensing such apathy from Sixers Nation about James Harden. Whether he shows up or not, it doesn't matter.
Okay,
all the damage is done.
You realize this story has gotten way more ridiculous. From the public part of it, James Harden.
But I think the public's sick of James Harden. Like, oh, God, this guy again. Like, what can he? I don't think if he shows up in sweatpants and it doesn't dry practice, I think people are not going to even care.
I think that people liked the fact that it was a little bit of a backfire on James Harden.
Yeah. No, people are rooting against him. I agree.
He came out and said, oh, Daryl Morey's a liar. And, no one even knows Daryl Morey unless you're, a real diehard basketball fan. And he called him a liar. Let me repeat, he's a liar. I'm not going to play for. And then the fact that he got fined for that, I think people are liking the boomerang back on James Harden.
I mean, I think the NBA teams see what we see. The guy's not a winning player. Of course nobody wanted him.
I know, but we knew that before.
I knew that the day they traded for him. I was like, oh, this ain't going to be good.
You did say that.
It's still better than Ben Simmons, but it's still,
that's not saying much.
Yeah, if you could think of that, I'm curious if you could think of some next moves, maybe for tomorrow, what James Harden could do to get our attention again.
I mean, you got to go IG live from the strip club. We all know what the next
Would that
is.
really get our attention from James Harden? That'd be like a random Tuesday for him.
Thank you to Mike Samter, to Stu Kovacs. Thank you to the Weedos, the Purple Drinkers, the callers. You guys are the best. We'll see you tomorrow.